But anyway, we find out Rodney is going to Mallorca.
No,
Mallorca.
Mallorca.
Groovy! And welcome to Long Live Hooky Street, the podcast where we rewatch and discuss every episode of Britain's most beloved TV comedy, Only Fools and Horses. I'm Heather, and I'm joined from Denver, Colorado by my co-host and sister, Jenny. Say hello, dude.
Hello.
Today we are discussing Series 6, Episode 4, The Unlucky Winner Is... ... So grab a glass or three of sangria and let's get started.
This episode aired on the BBC at 7:15 p.m. on Sunday, the 29th of January, 1989. This week's viewing figures were up to 17 million. And again, no schedule changes from last week. Still airs after Songs of Praise and followed by Mastermind. Something's Gotten a Hold of My Heart by Mark Almond and Gene Pitney was still the UK #1 song, and Cocktail, starring Tom Cruise, was still at the top of the UK box office. A few little interesting episode facts. Everyone knows one, those people who enter every competition going, and so did John Sullivan. The idea for this episode was inspired by a friend of Sullivan's who did this, and he definitely saw it as something Del would get himself involved in. This was an entirely studio-bound episode. Unfortunately, as we've discussed before, the 3 previous episodes completely used up the location budget, so this episode, plus Sickness and Wealth and Little Problems, were filmed entirely on studio sets. This angered director Tony Dow and production designer Graham Lau, who both pushed for a bigger budget. But Gareth Gwenland said no, and that sets on sitcoms were not really important. Some scenes, although studio-bound, were not filmed in front of live studio audiences due to the size of the set. These include the hotel arrivals hall and the hotel foyer in this episode. For Rodney, this scheme stung hard. This debacle is the most referred back to story in the show, being mentioned by Cassandra in the Jolly Boys outing and also being discussed in Time on Our Hands as the Trotters depart into the sunset. Apparently, it was also mentioned in the 2014 comic relief short Beckham and Peckham, which I've only seen once, but I think that is true. They do mention it. The lottery ticket featured in the final scene was actually genuine and purchased in Mallorca by Graham Lau, where he was sent for research purposes. He also purchased the El Del bullfighting poster, which appears in the flat background for the next 2 episodes. But apparently this sparked many complaints from anti-bullfighting groups and was then removed. The Mega Flakes box used in this episode actually says Sullivan's Mega Flakes on it. But can you see it? I don't think so. Only in close-up prop photos. And today we get the first mention of Elsie Partridge, but she does not appear until next week. She's a very significant character in Albert's life in the future. As we know, he ends up staying with her until his death. And finally, fun fact, this is known to be the favourite episode of actress Gwyneth Strong. Not surprising.
Not surprising, no.
And as usual, I'll have more trivia to scatter throughout the episode, but shall we move on to our episode rankings, dude?
Yes, let's do it. So, as our regular listeners will know by now, each week we reveal and compare our rankings for the episode, and prior to recording the entire podcast, we independently ranked all 64 episodes. So if you didn't already know all that, then you are not yet one of our regular punters. So we would love for you to subscribe to the podcast. We release a new episode every other Saturday at the moment, and we really do need more subscribers. So if you could give us a like and tell your mates about us, we'd really appreciate it. We do need your support to continue putting in the time and the effort that we have been to make these episodes for you. You can also go ahead and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and only if you feel inclined, you can now buy us a pina colada on buymeacoffee.com. All the links will be on the channel page and in the episode description. Okay, dude, the unlucky winner is... What is your ranking for this one, I wonder?
I don't know, but I'm going to guess that yours is in the top 10. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay, hold on.
I'm also going to guess yours is in the top 10.
Mine is actually not in my top 10. It didn't quite make it. I'm trying to pull up the spreadsheet, so hold on one second. Oh, here we go. All right. Yes, but it is in Fran's top 10. So we'll start with Fran's. Fran has it as number 9.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Let me guess then. Yours is your number 6.
No.
Number 10?
No.
Number 2?
Correct.
2?
Number 2?
Yes,
oh my god.
Number 2.
That's quite surprising.
This is my second favourite episode of Only Fools and Horses.
Wow, okay, that's crazy. You're number 2 already. So 1 and 2 in series 6.
Yeah, I mean, This episode, if I had to guess, I think is one of Dad's favourite episodes, because I remember Dad laughing at this episode a lot when we used to watch it when we were kids. He loved the whole groovy gang thing. And I do as well. Yeah, I mean, this episode, I think it's got so many great, like, again, belly laugh moments. This is the reason I chose Danger UXD as my top episode of Only Fools and Horses, and it's the same reason really for this one. There's so many points in this episode where I laugh like out loud when I'm watching it still to this day, because it's just so funny. Like some of the parts, especially, you know, when Del sort of mentions about the groovy gang and that comes up, even the part where they're discussing condoms and sex in the Nag's Head, like I just find all that stuff really, really funny. And I even like the opening sequence where they're all having the dates and, you know,
yeah,
and saucy git, that's petulia. Like all this stuff is just brilliant. Yeah, so I really love this episode a lot, and rewatchability is very high for me. So how about you, dude?
Yeah, so my ranking for this one, I wasn't actually sure when I looked, but my ranking for this one is number 15.
Okay.
So it's in my, so it slipped a little bit out my top 10, but I do see why when I look at my list. IMDb ranking for this one is number 7, so it's in the top 10, which totally makes sense. I think the main reason that if I'm looking at my list, the reason this isn't quite in my top 10 is probably because, like you said, this episode is pretty much to be pure comedy. There isn't really anything serious in this episode, if you think about it. It's just like a big, like, laugh fest. It's like the first scene is very skitty with the 3 dates, and then you've got all the kind of craziness and stuff with the holiday and all the groovy gang stuff. The only reason, there's like the tiniest little reason, obviously, that this episode is a little bit bitter in a way, is that poor Rodney again. And I think you've seen me always feel this way. I do feel really sorry for Rodney in this episode, because he's so happy and so excited when he arrives at the airport with all of his stuff, and he's like, oh, where do we go to check in? Can't wait, you know? And then it's all so messed up for him. But yeah, apart from that, I do agree. I think this episode is absolutely hilarious. I think it is one of the best. It could easily have been in my top 10, but if I look at my top 10, I think it slipped down because I like the ones that have got a little bit more emotion in them and a little bit more like Trotter kind of family joy and stuff. But
oh yeah, that's fair enough. I think when I think of rewatchability for Only Fools and Horses, or I think of, again, using Danger UXD as an example, you know, which episodes would I want to use to get other people into the show, I think this one I would also strongly recommend to show to people, because again, I think you can watch it as a standalone episode and I think you'll understand what the jokes are and why it's funny. But I also think that this is Cassandra's strongest episode.
Yeah, definitely, like we just said, it's her favourite episode. But if you think about it, there's no other episodes that come even close to having as much Cassandra in them. And she's definitely not really involved in the plot, really, of the whole episode. She sometimes comes in and has little bits to do, but she is not involved in the plot in any episode like she is in this one. This is like her standout one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we see Cassandra as actually like a layered character in this episode as well, which I really appreciate, because I think in some of the other episodes she's a little bit one-dimensional, and I actually like the fact that she has a few sides, which I'll mention during the episode breakdown during this episode. And yeah, I think also seeing the multiple sides of Rodney in this episode as well. We see, you know, sort of his vulnerability a little bit with Cassandra and talking about, you know, potentially sleeping together. But then you also see, like, I don't think we ever see Rodney as angry with Del as we do in this episode ever again.
No.
Or previously. I think this is like the most angry Rodney ever gets with Del. So even a royal flush, you know. So,
well, yeah, again, because it's like comedy anger rather than hurt in this case, which I think it makes it a lot easier to digest. Yeah, you don't actually, I do feel sad for him, but the anger and like the insults and stuff, it's more funny than it is upsetting. So
well, yeah, I mean, this is a week's vacation that he wasn't expecting, and then he's gone along to it, you know, totally out of the blue, and then yes, it's ruined, but it's not like Miami twice ruined, you know, kind of situation. So
yeah,
he's actually spent his own money on the holiday and Del's stolen it. So yeah, I think this one is just overall very enjoyable, and you can have a great time watching it.
Yeah, and like you said, it is probably a good episode to show to somebody who hasn't seen the show before, because yeah, the story is contained just in this episode, and it tells you quite a lot about the characters, and you still get quite a lot of, like you say, one-liners and stuff. So it's a great overall episode. Okay, so then if there's nothing else, shall we move on to the episode breakdown? La, 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 la.
la la.
So we begin in Nelson Mandela House in the flat, and for the first time we see some of Rodney's artwork. So we've often heard that Rodney is an artist, but we've actually never seen any of his artwork until now. And Cassandra is sitting on the couch looking through it while Rodney's in the kitchen making smoked salmon sandwiches and taking a nicely chilled bottle of wine out of the fridge. He takes them into Cassandra and she comments on how great his artwork is.
I love this one. Mable Arch at Dawn by Rodney Trotter, age 14 and a half. Aww.
That will become very significant later in the episode. They talk about the painting a bit more and they have some light flirtation. Rodney and Cassandra's flirtation is very similar in all of the episodes in Series 6, so you get what I'm saying. As Rodney's pouring the bottle of wine, Cassandra finds another painting.
Rodney, I know I'm going to make myself look very stupid, but does this baked bean label mean anything?
What? Yes, it does. It means Dell's been putting all his competition stuff in my portfolio again.
So I just want to say that the way that this is set up is very clever to me. We have two of the very important plot points established in just a couple of minutes at the beginning of the episode. Those being Rodney's painting with his age written on it and the fact that Dell is entering lots of competitions. So I just want to say I think that's great writing from Sullivan. So we find out that Dell has been entering loads of competitions and he hasn't won anything of significance yet. It does make a lot of sense for someone in Dell's line of work to enter competitions because anything that he would win, he could sell it.
Yeah.
Sell it.
Absolutely. And why does he stop doing this is the question.
Yeah, I agree. It makes more sense he would have carried on doing this. But I guess it is a lot of hassle to like enter loads of competitions all the time. But you know, it's actually something I didn't notice until I moved away from England is that there aren't really any other places in the world that seem to do this relentless competitions in magazines on products and everything else.
That's an old-fashioned way of doing it. I think that now, obviously, everything's online, and we do tons of competitions in the US, if that makes any difference. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
My husband and I won the Halloween door decorating competition in our building, and we won a juicer, which we sold on Marketplace, because we already have a juicer. I've already got a radio in my car.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, but of course, yeah, I guess it depends what he wins because one of the things that he's in to win is like a date with someone. I don't think you could sell that to anyone else. So Cassandra asks where Dell is, and Rodney mentions that Dell and Albert also have dates this evening. So I'd imagine that's quite a rare instance when all three of them would have dates on the same night. You know, Albert on a date. We haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
So we find out that Albert has a date with Elsie Partridge, which, as Jenny mentioned, is the first mention of Elsie Partridge. And Rodney says that they met at bingo, but as we know, their history is significantly more complex than is indicated here, by the time we get to the final episodes anyway. But of course, that probably hadn't been considered at this point. Rodney says...
She's got 11 children.
11 kids?
Yeah. Then her husband got fed up and died, so...
Honestly, I cannot imagine what it was like in the era where people had like 9, 10, 11 kids. I don't think I could handle one. So I guess people were a lot more resilient back then.
But the kids looked after themselves a little bit more in the old days than they do now. I know that might sound like a ridiculous thing to say, but I really do think it's probably true. Because it seems like families were a lot more sort of together and like everyone pitched in more than they do now. Back in those days. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Probably true. Well, yeah, I mean, I just think back to like some of the documentaries in like the 1960s and stuff, and the kids were just all on the streets, like unsupervised. So yeah, you're right. I think it was a very different world back then. So now we get a very intense moment, you know what I'm saying, between Rodney and Cassandra, where we can see they are planning to take things to the next level physically. They begin to kiss passionately when they are interrupted.
Did you put a plug on the microwave, Rodney?
So
did you hear something
home. And yeah, it's so good. I was going to say, I love that Rodney and Cassandra both act like they both had some sort of hallucination that Albert was there. I think, why would they both have the same hallucination? It's so funny. But yes, Albert is home and he's getting ready for his own date. So we find out that Albert is planning to have Elsie around for tea.
It's all arranged. I've got a beef risotto for the microwave and a nice bottle of wine in the fridge.
I love at that moment when Cassandra sort of silently asks Rodney and points to the bottle of wine if it's the one, and he's like, no. But it is.
I thought he was saying, don't say anything. That's how I...
I thought she was like pointing at it being like, is that the bottle? And he was like, no. I got this one. That's what I always thought it was. But yeah, it's interesting how you can interpret the same moment completely differently depending on your perspective. So Rodney and Cassandra are understandably very disappointed. They were hoping to get it on, and Albert has cock-blocked. So I do wonder why they wouldn't go to Cassandra's flat instead of Rodney's. I mean, doesn't she live alone?
She lives in a house, remember, in Blackheath?
Yeah.
And for some reason, I only just noticed this when I was watching Little Problems the other day. I think she lives with her mom and dad.
Really?
Yeah, because so she's only supposed to be 21.
Right.
That's what it says on the marriage certificate in Little Problems. And she talks about her dad coming home completely plastered.
That's true. I thought she was like talking about when she was growing up.
No, I mean, so she's only 21. Would she have a house in Blackheath? No, she lives with her parents, doesn't she?
If her parents bought it for her, and she has a good job at the bank, which she does.
But she's only 21. She wouldn't have been able to get it that young. I think she.
I never realised Cassandra was 21. I think she. No offense to Gwyneth, she looked a lot older.
Well, that's because Gwyneth Strong is 29 here. That's why.
Oh, okay.
And I think we always thought she was the same age as Rodney, and even I, when I saw 21 on the marriage certificate, I was like, 21, no way.
Fuck yeah, I didn't realise.
It's not about how she looks. I believe she could pass for 21, but she doesn't have the 21-year-old personality.
Yeah, I think
that's what it is. Yeah. So I think she's supposed to live with Pam and Alan. Let us know what you think below, but there's no way she has her own house in Blackheath at 21.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, that pretty much sort of steamrolls over my next note. So I was like, couldn't they just go to her flat and be alone?
I wrote that too, actually. But then since I have watched Little Problems, I really do think she's supposed to live with the parents. But yeah, maybe I'm misinterpreting this. I guess she could be renting, but like she would have had to sell her house to get the flat with Rodney, wouldn't she? So yeah, she could have been renting, I suppose.
Yeah, but like she lives next door to her friend Emma,
her old friend growing up, who she went to school with, and she lives with her parents.
Oh right, and I see that might be why. Yeah, could be. Yeah, but why don't they go to Rodney's bedroom then? Like, do you find this is a very common trope, right? So when people start having potential sex sessions on a couch in a flat that they share with other people, I always wonder why they're surprised when they get interrupted. Oh. Like this happens in so many movies and sitcoms.
Yeah, we mentioned this in Happy Returns because it looked like Rodney and Debbie were going to be on the couch, and then June and Del come in, put her down, Rodney. But like they knew that June was going to come back at some point, so yeah, they should really have just gone into the bedroom.
Yeah, I don't understand this. I guess it's a trope in sitcoms, so you can have that put her down Rodney moments, you know, or them being interrupted like Del does here. So yeah. So Rodney says to Cassandra that he could give some money to Albert so he can take Elsie Partridge out after dinner so he and Cassandra can be alone. And they begin to make out again when Del walks in the door carrying a huge box. Del doesn't see them right away because the lights are out.
Oh, look at the state he's left this place in. Wait till I get my hands on that little plonker.
I love the way that Rodney and Cassandra's body language and facial expressions are when he switches on the light and he sees them. They do look really funny.
Yeah.
Just sitting there in the dark. Obviously, they were making out, but Del didn't see that bit. So Rodney tells Del that they have been sitting there discussing art. And that actually reminded me of his date with... Janice. Correct. All the way back to Janice. And Del also interrupted that date. Del says...
Isn't it funny that every time he discusses art with someone, their buttons come undone?
I think it's really funny that Rodney and Cassandra actually had to check their buttons in that moment because surely they would remember that neither of them have began unbuttoning.
Well, you don't know. You didn't see what happened off camera. So.
No, but like you can even see the way that Rodney's arms are around her when he's kissing her and she doesn't seem to have... Neither one of them seem to have their hands up by their necks to start the unbuttoning process. So, yes, I just think that's quite funny that they check. So Del now asks Rodney to go out because he has a date with, this is so funny, my autocorrected peculiar to peculiar every single time. So he has a date with Peculiar coming around. And I can honestly say that I have never met anybody with the name Peculiar.
Oh.
I've had a lot of people, you know, I've met a lot of people with a lot of very interesting names in Hong Kong, and I've never ever met anyone called Peculiar.
Well, you wouldn't meet someone called Peculiar in Hong Kong, I mean.
Oh, dude, you meet people called anything in Hong Kong. People have names they just pick out of thin air that aren't even real names in Hong Kong.
I know, but I was going to say it's quite a traditional British thing to be named after a flower, like an older lady to be named after a flower. And flower names are way back in style now as well.
So you think there's a lot of Petulias running around?
I don't know about Petulia. I think like Rose was one of the most common middle names last year.
Rose, yeah. Or Hyacinth.
Yeah, I don't know about people calling babies Hyacinth. I'm not sure. There's a lot of irises now. And like there's quite a few flower names that are really in style again now. But I think in those days in England, a lot of ladies were named flower names. I haven't never met a Petulia either.
No.
Let us know if your name is Petulia or if you have any Petulias in your family. I really love the name because it's just so funny the way that Dell's like, Petulia is coming round.
Yeah, I just thought of that scene in when the Simpsons go to Itchy and Scratchy Land and Bart's looking through all the name license plates and he can't find Bart, but he finds Bort. And he's like, oh, come on, Bort. And then this kid goes, Mummy, buy me a license plate. No, come along, Bort. And then this man turns around and says, are you talking to me? And she goes, no, my son is also named Bort. It's just like, that's what I think of when I just thought of that. Anyway. Sorry, Simpsons again. So Rodney refuses to go out and Dell asks to speak to him privately in the boardroom. He always uses that word to describe the hallway or the kitchen. Dell says that Petulia is bringing all her gear and begins to list what he has prepared for her.
But look, I'm giving her a yuppie salad, don't I? I went out first thing this morning and I bought her smoked salmon and everything. I don't care what you bought. Good boy, you know it makes sense.
I love it. Rodney just totally nicked everybody's things for their dates. So, of course, Rodney is worried about Dell finding out that he has his smoked salmon. So I think that Rodney just assumed that he could have these two reasonably abnormal items that you wouldn't usually find in the Trotter fridge. I'd imagine a bottle of wine and smoked salmon are not two things you would usually find in that fridge. So I wonder why Rodney didn't think they were for a special occasion.
Yeah, because in that scene, in the first scene, he grabs them and he goes, ah.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean.
He's surprised. So like,
I can't believe he wouldn't think, I wonder if they bought those for a special occasion.
I don't know, like three guys living together. I feel like it's like a free for all.
Yeah, maybe. So Dell and Rodney go back into the living room and Albert walks out asking where is his bottle of wine.
Oh, blimey, Captain Birdseye's here. I thought you were supposed to be going out with the old woman who lived in the shoe.
I would just like to say right now that I love Albert's little sweater vest. It's so cute.
I know, he looks so cute, doesn't he? All dressed up for his date. Adorable. Yeah. So here they find out that all of the dates are coming to the flat simultaneously and Dell suggests they just have a party. So Albert sees that Rodney has taken his bottle of wine and he picks it up in anger. And then they discuss Rodney's art again. Rodney holds up a picture of a bottle of wine to show that it looks realistic. And I love Albert's flippant line here.
What you talking about? That's realistic, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's full.
Yes.
So good. It's little things like that. So Dell proceeds to insult the Marble Arch at Dawn painting, calling it a cock-up. I love that Dell like insults Rodney's talent when Dell has no idea about art at all. It's just really funny. And there's a funny play on words here that I really like.
Oh, Rodney's art teacher liked it. He said he thought it was a masterpiece.
No, he didn't. He said he thought it was a mantelpiece.
I was going to say, you remember that these lines were cut from a royal flush. And I just remembered that I was going to say that the fact that last scene in Royal Flush got all rushed and all these lines got cut out could have paved way for this episode. So we should be grateful to Royal Flush for this storyline.
Yeah, true.
Possibly.
True.
He might have already had the idea, John Sullivan, but this was like a good few years before. And he might have thought about these jokes and thought this could be something to do with a good script idea. So
thanks, the Royal Flush.
Yay.
So Dell goes into the kitchen after taking some pleasure in disrupting Rodney's date and embarrassing him a little bit. So usual Dell stuff. Albert is still complaining about his wine and Dell actually stands up for Rodney at first, saying that he's in love and they should go easy on him. Until, of course, Dell discovers that Rodney has had his smoked salmon away and all. So I love the bit where he's washing his hands without realising that Albert's salad is in the sink.
Yeah. And then he like dries his hand on the lettuce.
I love that Albert doesn't even flinch as well.
Yeah.
Ugh, that's so gross. So Albert and Del discuss the competitions that Del has been entering, and Albert tells Del that he hasn't won any of his competitions yet, but Del claims that he's bound to soon. He wasn't wrong. While he's stealing one of Albert's sandwiches, a normal trope that Del always does. Albert makes food, Del steals half. That's very normal by this point. Albert tells Del that there is a competition on the back of the cornflakes packet, and Del seems very interested. So another important setup for the episode. The doorbell rings and Rodney answers.
Oi, it's Albert's old bird.
Yeah.
Uncle, your date is here.
An old dragon.
You saucy git, that's Petulia.
I can't believe that Petulia didn't see Del peering at her through the door. As they're always only around 1 meter in length.
Yeah. Oh, poor Petulia.
I know. I'd love to see what she looks like just because of that reaction that Rodney had. So anyway, that is the end of the opening scene, dude. Any notes?
Yeah, so my first note, you already mentioned about this being similar, and we did mention it in Slowbuster Chingford. And the exact same line, we were sitting here discussing art, is used in both episodes.
Yes.
So, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, it's just really funny that after all these years, Rodney's date is the same situation, and Del just comes in and turns on the lights and ruins all the ambience, which is...
But I will say Janice and Cassandra are very different dates.
Very different, yes. Well, yeah, so again, if you look at the two episodes, you can see how far things have come. And also Rodney's chatting up tactics have changed a lot.
Yes.
So we already mentioned the stuff about the lines in the Royal Flush, Mable Arch, Mantelpiece, and the Arc de Triomphe lines were all used in the original script for that last scene of the Royal Flush. And because it was recorded literally the day before it was edited together and aired, loads of stuff got cut.
Yeah.
And none of those lines made it in. So I'm surprised you didn't point this out since Danger UXD is your favourite episode, but there are still tomato boxes hanging around in the kitchen. I don't know if you noticed
Oh,
that.
I didn't notice, yeah.
So yeah, they've still got some of the tomatoes maybe, and they were being put in...
Oh, they'd be well manky by then, wouldn't they?
Del could have put some in his yuppie salad. For some reason, this wine bottle salad smoked salmon mix-up reminds me a little bit of May the Force Be With You with the bucket of gunge or the Beaujolais ice lolly.
Slolly,
Grandad puts the stuff in the
Yeah, me too.
I made a note here, and this is why I was like, oh, that's where it's mentioned. So Maria Whittaker was a former glamour model, page 3 girl. A bit of a sort who Del would have really enjoyed to have a date with if he'd won. Because I wrote that and I was like, why have I written who Maria Whittaker is? And it's because you pointed out that that's one of the things that Del is in line to win in the competition. I don't think people today would know who she was. So
I don't know who she is.
Extra line in the script cut here. So when Del says, terrific, you might as well stay, Rodney, we'll have a party. The next line in the script, Del says to Cassandra, do you want to put a record on? How about the gang's all here? That line is not there. And there's a couple more lines cut as the episode progresses that I've written down as well. It's not much, and I'm guessing they're actually cut because I have a note in the next scene where I feel like you can actually see that there's a cut because the characters kind of shift.
So there's some sort of uncut version of Unlucky Winner is out there that's similar to The Miracle of Peckham.
I'm guessing that it was never edited together that way. It's just that there are lines in the script that are not in this episode. But yeah, probably cut for time because, as we know, John Sullivan stuff always overran. And also, a lot of these lines are completely unnecessary, but they are there in the script.
Yeah.
And that was all I had for that scene, so we can move on to the Nag's Head.
Okay, cool. So as Jenny mentioned, we are now in the Nag's Head, and we see Mike is serving some food for Cassandra, and Rodney's alone at the table looking through some magazines, and he keeps coming across articles relating to pregnancy and sex, most notably a condom advert that I did not understand at all when I was a kid. Do you know what I used to think that was about? Paint.
Paint?
Dulex.
Oh. Little Heather.
I know. I thought it was Dulex paint, not Durex condoms.
Well, they are kind of similar names.
Yeah, exactly. I did not understand this entire sort of part of the episode when I was a kid. I'll talk more about it later, about all the jokes that are made, because obviously I had no idea what condoms were and I didn't know what sex was either, really. So Cassandra brings the food over and Rodney says that he's lost his appetite because he was thinking about their relationship.
So romantic, isn't he?
So romantic. Actually, this exchange where he's trying to explain what he's thinking is actually quite interesting because Cassandra is the one joking around the whole time. Like, she moves her chair away when he says that they're getting too close. And he says, we're both mature people. And then she blows bubbles in her drink. I actually really like this version of Cassandra. And I wish we'd seen more of her in later series. Not actually being immature, but being funny immature, like doing it on purpose to wind him up immature.
Yeah, but she's being lighthearted and
Yes.
joking around, which, you're right. We don't see enough of that later.
No, I would have liked to have seen more of her like that. I said Cassandra's character in this whole episode is I think the best version of Cassandra. I wish that we'd had more of this version of her in later series. So yeah, that's just a short scene because we do come back to the pub in a minute. Any notes on that scene, dude?
Yeah, I think I did make some, but I'm going to push them all until a bit later because most of it's about the condom discussion, so we can move that into the next scenes. Yeah.
All right, cool. So now we go back to the flat, and Del and Albert are arriving home with some boxes, and Albert begins to complain. I feel like this is the first hint of a during the war type line. It's not the during the war, but he says,
They've got no respect these days.
Got no respect these days.
You fought in the war, didn't you?
I fought in a war, didn't I? I thought so that kids like Rodney could have freedom. Well, what do they do with their freedom?
Anything they bloody lie.
Anything they bloody lie.
I know it's not directly a during the war, but it's got certain connotations that are similar, is what I would
it's
say.
gotten close.
So the trope that old people complain often, saying the same thing to the point where you can almost impersonate them, is something I always thought about with our own grandparents, actually, because they had a tendency to tell the same jokes and the same stories sort of on repeat. And actually, I think it's really lovely when you have someone around like that who is like consistent with their beliefs and thoughts. I mean, I meet so many people like in this day and age who are very flaky, who often are changing their ideas and their thoughts about things. And it's actually really lovely to have like the comfort of consistency sometimes in a person, I think. I don't know if you feel like that.
I mean, yes, in both from that point of view, yeah, there is a lot to be said for having a strong, consistent views that you keep with you your whole life and actual values. But there is also a big danger in falling into traps of, well, this is tradition and this is the way it is, and never becoming enlightened. So I see it from both sides. Yeah,
I guess like by the time you get to sort of the granddad age, I think that you probably are a bit more set in your ways. So like, that's how Albert's portrayed. That's how Grandad was portrayed in the series, that they kind of have this way of thinking and they're not going to change now. And it's always consistent, which is nice.
I say it can be a good thing. It can be that you have strong family values and you believe in respecting people and stuff. But you can also have, weird views, like, certain people don't deserve certain things and things like that. And if you don't ever change your views on those things as the world changes, then that's when you can start to be seen as like a crotchety old person.
Again, it's done in good fun. I mean, this is the thing.
Yeah.
I think like someone like Albert, when he does have, maybe old-fashioned beliefs, let's say, like Del just makes fun of it. And it's like you can put it on repeat. It can be quite entertaining, I think, when you're younger to see someone or be around someone like that.
And again, we have to always remember that John Sullivan's original show concept was the 3 ages, and like it never really moves away from that, at least not until we don't have Albert anymore. There's always that viewpoint, and we always have to keep having that reminder that Albert sees things differently to these guys. And in this scene it comes out because of the way that Albert tries to stop Del from doing his plan. So yeah,
very true. So Albert goes through the mail and Del opens a letter that is addressed to Rodney.
I know.
So here we can see that Del still treats Rodney like a kid and he doesn't respect his privacy. And I do wonder, though, if he knew that this letter might be from the competition because he'd entered it using Rodney's name. But I don't know if he opens Rodney's mail all the time. But I think like that's exactly what Reg did in Thicker Than Water, and Del and Rodney were both really upset about that.
And it is a crime. I mean, I did a bit of research and I put this in my note. It's more serious in the US than the UK, and the only reason you could get away with it in court is if you can plead like reasonable excuse that you needed to open it for important information. But it's a crime to open someone else's mail. And yeah, Del does it in such a funny way. He's like, let's just see what he's been getting through the post.
Yeah, because I think, obviously, if you were, let's say you had like a stack of letters come through and you were just opening them all up and you didn't necessarily even look at the name or the address, and you just assumed it was for you, that might be an excuse for accidentally opening someone's mail. But
yeah, part of me feels like this is forced in a little bit here because like it's so on the edge of a knife. Rodney could have opened this letter and this whole thing would have been ruined. So they could have had it that it got addressed to Del because Del is the dad. or the Guardian.
Yes,
yeah.
I have a note about that in a minute, yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
It's nitpicky. So Del opens up the letter.
Do you remember that competition I sent off for?
You sent off hundreds of them.
No, the Mega Cornflakes competition.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, what they wanted you to do, you had to draw a paint a world-famous landmark, right? Well, world-famous landmarks are not my speciality. I'm more a portrait man myself. So just for a laugh, I sent off the old Mable Arch at dawn in Rodney's name, and guess what? He's only won.
So we find out that Rodney has won a week's holiday in the Mediterranean. We find out that Rodney is going to Mallorca. Is it Mallorca?
It's Mallorca, but yeah, it's a joke.
Mallorca.
A lot of English people pronounce it Mallorca, but in Spanish, if it's 2 L's, it's a J.
Yeah, because I remember when we went to Minorca.
We went to Minorca, yeah.
Yes. I remember there was Mallorca and Minorca. And I kept mixing them up when we went to Minorca. That's why but I know some people pronounce this as Mallorca.
Yes, but technically in the Spanish language, it would be Mallorca. But you see it spelled with a J sometimes. And being spelled with the 2 L's is to help English people pronounce it, I think. So none of them are wrong because it's Mallorca.
Uh-huh.
In Spanish, the J is always like oh God, I'm trying to remember how it is. I can't remember, but it's pronounced and spelled differently depending on where you're from, and it doesn't really matter. But it is kind of a bit of a joke that Del says Mallorca because you hear people laugh.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people call it Mallorca.
Yeah, I mean, if you're spelling it phonetically, that is how you would say it. So Rodney's going to Mallorca and will be staying in a 5-star hotel with spending money for the winner and his guests. So Del automatically assumes that he is the one that Rodney will take with him, of course. But I suppose in this situation, it actually is kind of fair because Rodney wouldn't have won the competition if Del hadn't entered it on his behalf. So taking Del seems fair in this situation. Albert then reads something ominous on page 2 of the letter. So at this point, we the audience, we the audience, we don't know what it says. So it leaves a little bit of suspense for us when you first see the episode. Of course, we know what it is now. But yeah, I mean, when you first watch this, you have no idea what's on page 2. So you've kind of got that anticipation for why Del is hiding it from Rodney. And I think that's really good writing. So Albert says that he thinks that Del needs to tell Rodney. And Del comes back with...
Yes, what we have here, Uncle, is a case of a je ne sais quoi, pourquoi.
What's that mean?
Well, roughly translated, it means he who sticks his nose into a beehive will get more than a nostril full of honey. Do I make myself clear?
I'm saying nothing, son.
Kushti.
And the scene ends with Del looking very cunning and malicious, as though he's hatching a plan. So any notes on that scene, dude?
Yeah, so just on that subject, again, more dialogue cut from the script here, and I think it's cut because we want this scene to end on a little bit more of a question mark, because it's better that they do have the audience reveal in Mallorca upon arrival.
Yeah, with Rodney.
It's not that this old dialogue that was cut or not recorded or whatever it was does reveal anything, but it makes it, again, a little bit more. It's a bit like in A Royal Flush when they cut the bit that let us know that Del was going to the opera. It's a little bit like that, because... it says, one of Albert's lines is, "You can't go ahead with it," and Del says, "Don't worry, me and Rodders can wing it." And then Albert says, "It's only right to tell the boy." So I think you can see, if you watch the scene at that point, that it jumps for somehow, Albert's body moves a little bit too fast. There's a little bit. So I'm guessing it was just all recorded and they cut this out. But I think it makes it sound a lot more ominous than just this bit does. Or at least it makes it sound a little bit worse. We can wing it. I guess.
Yeah, wing what? What are you going to do?
And I wrote here, Del's wearing a sheepskin coat in this scene, right? I think. Yeah, his other coat.
So.
And he
takes it off when he comes in.
He does not look yuppie at all in this episode. So again, we talked about this in Chain Gang. It was almost like between Danger UXD and here, he's gone completely back to his trader look, which is quite appropriate for this episode, I think.
Yeah. Apart from the yuppie salad he was making for Peculiar.
That's right. Making her a yuppie salad. Yeah, so the word yuppie, I guess, might have crept its way into every episode. Yeah, so far, because we had them talk about Cassandra's yuppie friends at the bank in Chain Gang. Yeah. So far, it has crept its way in. But yeah, apart from that, no, this scene is quite quick and it just sets up the fact that something is afoot, and then it cuts back to the Nag's Head. Yeah.
Okay. As Jenny mentioned, we're now back in the Nag's Head with Cassandra and Rodney finishing up their lunch together. It seems that they've eaten their meals and Rodney still hasn't been able to get his point across about what he wants to say to Cassandra. So it begs the question, what were they talking about while they were eating?
Well, you change your subject when you're uncomfortable, don't you? So that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know, because he kind of started talking to her about it, and then she was like, playing around and stuff, and then he just
But then he was like, forget it, when she was blowing the bubble.
Yeah, but Cassandra, if most people, would be like, no, I'm sorry, tell me anyway. Like,
I don't know. If I'm uncomfortable about something, I will avoid it as long as I can. So I understand how Rodney feels here.
So Cassandra asks Rodney what he'll be doing today, and he says that he'll be selling kiddies' dolls down the market. And we clearly see some embarrassment from Rodney here.
I won't always be doing this.
Doing what?
Well, selling crap down markets. I'll get my diploma in computer science soon, then things will change.
You don't have to prove anything to me, Rodney.
Well, you got a good job in a bank, ain't you? And your dad's a successful businessman, and me, well, I'm an apprentice fly pitcher.
So Rodney's already started comparing himself to Cassandra regarding his job, and this becomes a huge point of contention in their relationship throughout most of the series, actually, from now on. And I can understand Rodney feeling this way, but in later episodes it feels like he's blaming Cassandra for having a better job than him, whereas in this instance it feels like he's putting the blame on himself and he wants to do better. But I'm not sure why that changed later on. I guess maybe due to resentment, because he did get a better job when he starts working for Alan, and he still feels inferior to Cassandra.
Yeah.
So I guess it could also be because a part of him probably knows that he wouldn't have gotten the job with Alan if he wasn't married to Cassandra. Yeah, what do you think about that, dude?
I think most of this will come up when we talk about Rodney Come Home, because that's the episode where you see him actually working his job, and we don't get much of it explored in the Jolly Boys outings. I think it's more in Rodney Come Home when you see them side by side as working full-time adults, and you see the fact that Cassandra is not what he wants her to become, the little wife staying at home cooking the dinner, and that's when it really becomes a problem. I think for now, yes, Rodney is still in his I want you to see me this way kind of vibe, but he's being open and honest about it and being like, you do have a better job than me, but I will get better. And then he does get his diploma, and you can see he starts to get kind of a little bit more cocky about that. He gets his job, and then he just wants Cassandra to become the little wife at home to look after him, and that's when it really kicks off. But I think most of this discussion we can save till later. But if you do see the very beginnings of this here, you're right, it's different at this point. Rodney's not blaming Cassandra for having a better job, he just feels bad about himself. But Cassandra doesn't do anything differently if you think about it. Through the whole of herself, she's the same. She's ambitious and stuff. And, they don't really discuss much about her career when she does start trying for a baby, because that can be a problem for some women in the career positions. They don't really talk about it after that, so which is a shame, because I think that would have been a more interesting subject. But
I wonder if they stopped talking about it because they'd explored the issue for so long in all, it's practically the entire issue in their relationship for 2 series. So I think that maybe that's why John Sullivan probably was just like, I think the audience have had enough of this.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that later on. But
because then by Fatal Extraction, it's all about Del and Raquel, and then Rodney and Cassandra are okay because they're trying for a baby. So yes.
Cassandra tells Rodney that she's been going out with him longer than any of her other boyfriends after some more flirtation. And I find that interesting because I think they've only been together here for 3 or 4 months.
I think that we had a hint of a amount of time pass at one point, but I can't remember what it is now. So yeah.
It feels like not that long.
I was going to say a couple of months, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess Cassandra doesn't have a lot of experience with relationships, which is actually similar to Rodney. So in that sense, they're both well suited.
She's only 21. She doesn't have much time.
Not with the bank. Yeah. And so now Cassandra finally tells Rodney that she loves him after being rudely interrupted by Del's cigar smoke during Chain Gang. But then this moment is completely ruined by Mike.
I love you too, Cass.
What a load of old cobblers. Makes you want to throw up.
This is really, really funny.
I know.
I just love the way he's just in the background.
I absolutely love that part because Mike is the only side character actually that we get in this episode. So it's really nice to see him get a couple of really funny moments, and this is one of them. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Load of old cobblers. Why did you come to this pub?
Yeah, I was going to say, Cassandra wonders why Rodney keeps coming to the Nag's Head. And Rodney says it's the atmosphere. That kind of reminds me a little bit of when they ask Trigger why he comes and he says, for the company.
Yeah.
I guess that no one really wants to go to the Nag's Head. They just come there out of habit, I guess. And At that moment, Del comes in, all excited, and orders champagne.
You, Rodney Trotter, have only won a competition.
Del takes out the first page of the letter and gives it to Rodney so he can see what he has won. Cassandra clocks straight away that there should be a second page, and Del says that he left it in the flat. Honestly, I'm quite surprised that there's no hint at all in the first page that this is an award for a kid and their family. Because, like, wouldn't the letter, you mentioned this a little bit in the previous scene, wouldn't the letter itself be addressed to, like, the winner's parents or the winner and the parents? Like, you know, it says, like, dear winner and your guardians and parents.
I would imagine,
It just seems like there would be a hint, yeah. So Del tells Rodney that he's going to be on the back of millions of cornflakes packets, and Rodney seems very excited about that.
Yeah.
So now we get a funny line.
You clever old thing. I didn't even know you'd been in for a competition.
Well, no, it was... Del, I never went in for this competition.
I do love that line. So. Again, double take humour. It never gets old in Any Fools and Horses.
Oh, I
don't
know,
know
it's
why.
brilliant. And of course, the delivery is amazing from Nick Lyndhurst. So Del explains that he sent in the old Mable Arch at dawn, and Cassandra asks again about the second page. And Del says,
Oh, it's nothing. It's all about sightseeing and excursions and all that sort of thing.
I'd imagine some of it probably was, actually, talking about all the activities that Rodney would be doing for the week in the groovy gang.
Yeah.
Del leaves Cassandra and Rodney alone, and they have another slight flirtation. There's a lot of these little moments in Series 6. That's why I don't mention the dialogue, because it's all, you know, kind of similar. Before Rodney asks Cassandra to come on the holiday with him. So Del returns to the table excited about going on the holiday with Rodney. As Rodney tries to explain that he wants to take Cassandra with him, Del has some good news.
It's not for two, bruv. It's for free. For nothing. No. No, for free. For free?
Free?
Yeah.
You sure?
Of course I'm sure. I read it. It was in that second page that I left in the flat.
Three's a funny number, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, free's very funny. Always has me in stitches as free. Free.
I've got to say, I love how David Jason plays this manic version of Del, like trying to cover his tracks by talking really quickly and deflecting whenever they ask about the second page. It's very apt for someone who's like caught in a lie. And Rodney muses as to why it's for three people, and Cassandra reckons it's because they are mega cornflakes and they do everything bigger. And Del, like, instantly hones in on that. Yeah, that's right. That's the explanation. She's got it.
I'll tell you what this means, Rodney. It means that Cassandra can come with us.
So Del says that it's 3 weeks until they go.
Oh,
and I do find it hard to believe that Rodney doesn't question any further about the fact that it's for three people, because he does seem to be really confused about that. Del actually tells him to call the cornflakes people. Obviously, this is a bluff, hoping that a double bluff, hoping he won't do it. But it seems to me with 3 weeks, there would have had to be some other correspondences between the competition winners and, because what about the flight tickets and all that kind of stuff? Like, it seems to me that there would have been quite a few opportunities for Rodney to actually ask about why there's three people.
Yeah. I know I always say this to you, but like in this case, this plot is very easy to pull apart. So yeah, you can't over nitpick. But yeah, I wrote here, it's risky of Del to say get on the blower and ask the cornflakes people. And I think it doesn't really say that exactly in the script. It just says, like, I don't know, ask the cornflakes people. But, like, it actually would have been very easy for Rodney to call. So, yes, I would say, especially as the competition winner.
Yes.
And over those 3 weeks, he would have asked to see the second page. But again, like, all this stuff is just very nitpicky because the plot wouldn't really work in reality. You have to suspend your disbelief for this one because it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, you do, but actually, in defense of the plot and me being all nitpicky as I am, actually, we see in this episode, I think, a whole other level of manipulation from Del. So it is quite possible that Del was able to talk Rodney round every single time in these 3 weeks and sort of set up blocks and be like, oh yeah, I spoke to them, they said this. Like, you know, I think Del actually may have been able to fool Rodney long enough to get him on the plane without him being suspicious, potentially. So there we go. That's one way around the gaping plot holes.
Yeah.
So Del tells Cassandra to sort her bikini line, and I did not understand this at all when I was a kid, what a bikini line was.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
No, but I love her facial expressions when he says that. It's, like, so inappropriate. And now we get a great moment. Cassandra stands up and says, "Excuse me," and Rodney gives her a hug and tells her to take care, at which point we find out that Cassandra is going to the bathroom. You see, this is the thing I love about Series 6. Little things like this, I think, are the reason that this series is like so brilliant and so many people love it. It's like there's no relevance to the plot to put something like that in, but it's a little standout moment. It gets like a huge laugh, a huge round of applause, and Series 6, I feel like, is scattered with lots of little moments like that. And I really think that's one of the reasons it's so strong.
Yeah, it's memorable because, again, yeah, you said it gets applause. It's so nothing in the script. It was just a way to get Cassandra out of the scene for a second. And somehow, because the audience is so invested in the show at this point and loves it so much, that little things like that really get everybody excited. And yeah, for some reason, such a simple thing as Rodney misunderstanding that Cassandra was going to the loo. Yeah. And the way that the Del reacts to him and calls him a plonker just gets like a massive reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's what happened with the Dave jokes as time went on. Because like as we mentioned multiple times in the first few series, like the Dave jokes barely got any acknowledgement. They maybe got a little giggle here and there, but a lot of the time they got nothing. And then by the time we get to Series 6, Series 7, Trigger just has to say the word Dave and everyone goes, ah! Yeah. So like it's crazy. You're right. It's probably because the audience just absolutely loves this show by this point, and anything they do is funny. But it is also very funny. I mean, I'm not just saying they were giving them a free pass. So now with Cassandra gone, Rodney, interestingly, decides to talk to Del about his and Cassandra's intimacy issues. Why would you talk to Del?
The last person I would talk to.
Of all the people.
But I guess he doesn't have anyone else. I mean, who's he going to talk to? Mickey Pierce.
Yeah, true. None of Rodney's friends are very good at discretion, so I suppose it doesn't really matter who he talks to. So actually, I do find it funny that Rodney appears to be embarrassed to talk to Del about this stuff, considering that, like, in the past, Del has, like, offered up his dirty magazines to Rodney as a bribe. And I'd imagine as two lads, like two brothers who've lived together, they've talked about these things regularly over the years. But anyway, Rodney seems bashful for some reason here. And he hands Del the magazine that we saw him looking at in the previous scene in the Nag's Head. And he gets the page wrong to start with.
What, Ford Escorts?
All the way through this bit, you can see how close David Jason is to laughing. This entire part here, you can see he could go at any minute. But Rodney finally finds the correct page with the condom ad on it.
Oh, I see, bruv. You don't have to worry. They're not really that size in real life.
So again, all these jokes just went completely over my head when I was a kid. So Rodney tells Del that he and Cassandra haven't done anything yet, and he seems quite surprised.
I thought you was on the phone with it.
Any idea where that saying comes from, dude? Because I don't think I've ever heard that outside of this episode.
No, I didn't look that up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just anyone in the comments who knows where on the firm with it comes from, please let us know. Rodney continues.
So I feel that in this day and age, what with what's happening in the world, it is every responsible adult's duty to, well...
go equipped.
So I assume this is our first reference to AIDS, which is mentioned again in the next episode, but also in a moment as well in this episode. And Del praises Rodney for his maturity on this issue. And then we get a great line.
I keep going to buy them. There's a sort of stigma attached to them.
No, that's just a piece of silver foil. You chuck that
He definitely looks like he's going to laugh when he says that.
So... this is the part where you can really see David Jason is about to go, yeah. The fact that he has to hold it for so long as well, you can see he's really struggling. Rodney now directly says that he's concerned about all this because of AIDS. He says it. And there are a lot of warnings on the television. And I wonder if this was mentioned by John Sullivan in this episode, that they could talk about it more in like an abstract way in Sickness and Wealth. I wonder if it was a little bit of a setup, like to sort of bring up the topic so it wasn't so out of the blue in the next episode, and so people might understand what they were referring to, because they don't say anything about, like, they don't say the word AIDS in the next episode from my recollection.
No, that's right. They don't. But I don't think it was necessary to set up the next episode because it was at the forefront of enough people's minds that everybody who's watching would know. But yeah, I mean, it's referred to in 2 back-to-back episodes that were recorded one week after another. But yeah, I don't know.
Could be. So Rodney asks Del to buy the condoms for him.
Get on your bike, you get them yourself.
So Rodney explains that he's too embarrassed and he's tried to buy them multiple times and has ended up buying other things. And this reminds me of Carry On Camping. Do you know the bit I'm talking about, dude?
Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. He does the same thing, keeps going in and buying something else because he's too embarrassed. What is it again?
So it's Sid and Bernie in the camping shop, and they go to ask about the nudist campsite.
Yeah.
And then Bernie says that he can't ask, and he keeps end up buying like a toothbrush or aspirin. And then Sid scolds him for him, and then he goes up to that really pretty lady. I can't remember what her name is. The one who, yes, this lady. And he ends up asking for a tube of toothpaste because he's too embarrassed. So yeah, that just reminded me of that part in Carry On Camping. So Del says,
Yeah, but they sell them everywhere these days, don't you? You can get them in a butcher's, a bike shop. In Patel's Multimart, they got them by the phone card counter.
So another mention of Patel's Multimart after the longest night. And Del mentions that you used to be able to get them in the Nag's Head toilet. There used to be a machine, which will become important for the
So it
end
kept
of the
getting
scene.
jammed with the drachma.
Yeah, what does that mean? I didn't understand that.
It's the currency, isn't it? Remember that they mention it in Pressure with Love as well, the drachma. It was the currency of Greece.
Oh, I did not realise
300 drachma in her bin. But it's
God,
not
I did
German.
not make that connection at all.
Yeah. It
Okay.
was Greek.
Oh, wow. I don't know. You see, I know what pesetas were because, as I mentioned, we went to Mallorca, but everything else I couldn't tell you.
Think
like
about
the currencies
them.
in Europe.
Anybody who is like younger, well, a lot younger than us, I guess. Phone cards, by the way, were something that you could buy to make phone calls back in the day. And drachma was a currency before the euro.
Wow. Okay.
We're so old.
This is far too out of my realm.
I say a new line for us during the 90s.
During the 90s. So Rodney tells Del that he has not discussed this with Cassandra. So why he's discussing it with Del first, who knows? So yeah, great choice, Rodney, discussing with Del. What could go wrong? Cassandra comes back from the ladies and Del goes up to the bar to get some more champagne, even though all three of them have not really drank any of theirs yet.
I know, I noted that.
This reminds me of the end of Class of 62 when Del keeps ordering bottles of champagne and they haven't even touched like the first two. But anyway, Cassandra says she has to go back to work in a minute. So Rodney seems to think this is a good time to talk to her about it, I guess because she'll have to go soon, so it won't linger on and be awkward.
Right.
And Rodney decides to take the longest route possible to get to the point.
When one is in a situation like ours, one,
Or in our case, two.
or in our case two, should be careful
Careful of what?
that we don't become free.
So Rodney continues to talk in a very mature way about the fact that they are going on holiday together and that things may progress naturally.
Our relationship could, well, who knows, ascend to a more physical plane.
Yes, I suppose so.
Yeah?
I love Rodney's little, yeah.
I love how Rodney drops the maturity so quickly the second that Cassandra confirms she'll probably sleep with him on holiday.
Yeah. It's so funny the way he's all, mature and he's like, yeah.
Yeah. So Cassandra is immediately suspicious.
You haven't been discussing this with Del, have you?
What? No, of course I haven't. No, what do you think I am?
Good.
Wait, Rodders, you're in luck. Mike's had a new machine fitted in the gent.
I'll get you some change, Rodney.
I love that. I love Mike's line. I'll get you some change, Rodney.
Oh god, I love it. I think I feel like this is something I've seen before in other TV shows where someone's like, "You didn't tell this person," you're like, "Oh god, no!" And then that person comes over and they go, "Great!" on that thing you told me earlier. I feel like it happens in a lot of TV shows, but yeah, it's very funny, very well executed here. And I'm surprised that Cassandra actually wanted to sleep with Rodney after he just lied to her face.
Well, like I say, she takes everything a lot more lightly in these series, yeah.
Yes, very true. That look that Cassandra gives Rodney at the end of the scene is like a teacher scolding the students.
Yeah, I was going to say,
really funny.
She's not actually angry. She's more like, oh, I see, you did discuss it.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a very funny scene overall, this one. So any notes on that scene, dude?
Well, that bit reminds me of Rodney come home when Del's like, you can sleep in your own bed tonight. And Rodney's like, oh, all right, Derek.
Yes, yeah.
So
but
gets his own back.
I'll talk about that in the episode, but that is such a stupid thing for him to shout out in the middle of the club. It's always bothered me.
It is Del's fault, honestly. honestly. But yeah, the same look that Raquel kind of gives Del at the end of that scene, which we haven't gotten to yet, so talking about future. Yeah, I have quite a lot of notes here, so hopefully this won't be too boring. So
yeah, go for it.
I put here, I like the writing here between Rodney and Cassandra because we see this different side of Rodney. It's more his vulnerability in these days, because if there's one thing that we'll criticize later, it's the awful communication between Rodney and Cassandra, and it's not just Rodney's fault, but Rodney is the main problem, I think, because it said, like, Cassandra's like, oh, you know, we have to try to figure out why we argue every time we speak. It's because of Rodney, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the way he acts, and like, I don't want to always blame him, but it kind of is. Like, we'll analyze it more in the later episodes. I bet you can't all wait for that, but Rodney generally just sort of snaps and acts immature very quickly, and yes, she does too sometimes, but he's not like that here. He's more vulnerable. Like, if he could have just always allowed himself to have a little bit more vulnerability with Cassandra and be honest instead of turning snappy, their marriage would have been, well, a lot less rocky. I know it ends up fine in the end, but all these years of you know, the Series 7 and a few of the specials when they're on the rocks, it's mostly arguments caused by Rodney. So I do really love it here because it's so nice to see just the sweet little flirtatious dialogue that was written.
Yes.
And Cassandra's character, like you say, is very different at this point. So, Oh yeah, the mention of the ugly bird competition. I tried to look this up, and there are disagreements online. I'm sure male listeners can probably tell us if this is true or not. Some people say it was a thing that guys did where they would have a competition in the pub to who could pull the ugliest woman, which is obviously a very kind of archaic thing now.
That sounds like a very British thing to do.
I could believe it. I mean, just the era we grew up in, I could believe this being a thing. And I read...
Yeah, that must be why I got hit on a few times when I was in the...
Yeah, right? It's like you think about all these years of, like, you know, why was that person talking to me? Yeah, but like...
I must have been the ugliest bird.
But yeah, obviously now it's like a horrible thing if you think about the trauma it must have caused. And a lot of women from our generation are very traumatized by things like this. But I think that's what he's talking about. And that's why he kind of brushes it off when he says it in front of Cassandra. I'm not sure if this would really interest people, but there's more dialogue cut in this scene. I'll just add it. Rodney says... Mallorca, eh? And you know where it cuts to, will you miss me? Between that, there was a little bit of dialogue where Rodney leans back and is like, can you imagine it, Cass? A luxury suite, 5-star hotel. And then she says, a la carte menu, like Albert. And Rodney says, spending money, a whole week of total freedom, nothing to do but lay back in the sunshine and gaze at the blue skies and golden beaches, and then dance the night away in the warm Mediterranean air. And then he turns to her and says, will you miss me? So that's cut. But I see why, but it's kind of funny. Like
it would have made the joke bigger.
Yeah,
I think when he says "Will you miss me?" if he listed all that shit off and then said "Will you miss me?" Yeah.
Cut for time, just like this line. When Del says 3 always has him in stitches, there's a line in the script that Cassandra says 7 always creases her up, and Del's like 7, yeah, that's a killer. So I think that which shows a little bit of Cassandra's like light-hearted side again, like joking around, same kind of jokes as Del. There's a reference here to Bob's Full House, which was Bob Monkhouse. You probably you will remember Bob Monkhouse, but this show...
I remember Bob Monkhouse.
This show
Nan used to watch him.
Yeah, this only aired between 1984 and 1990, so I don't know if you remember Bob's Full House. But then he was on Price is Right, which I think you remember. You probably only remember the Bruce Forsyth's Price is Right.
Yes, I do remember
Bob Monkhouse.
There's a video of me watching it when I was 5 in the Christmas 1991 video.
Right, yeah. I always remember Play Your Cards Right. I loved that show. Higher or lower?
Yeah, oh my God, that was so much fun. I agree.
Another little chop here. Cassandra asks Del how Albert feels about Del and Rodney leaving, and Del says he's over the moon. He'll get 7 days clear with Elsie Partridge. She'll be round the flat before you can say ole. That's another line.
Oh my God, that makes it sound like Albert was going to have like a fuck fest with Elsie Partridge while they were gone.
Well, actually, they did go, and so yeah, for all we know, Albert and Elsie could have had the flat to themselves, which is nice. But yeah,
getting his leg over.
So a little bit here on the condom thing, and I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to ask for input on this. First of all, "Go equipped" was the slogan for Durex. That's why Del says that. Might still be, I'm not sure. But yeah, like, I wrote all these notes here about how, like, there's no way Rodney hasn't slept with women before. So has he just never used condoms? Has he never bought condoms? Surely to this point in his life, he's 26/27. We don't know which. He would have before had to buy condoms, unless did people not care about it until AIDS? So I want to know, like, because this whole thing to me, just like back in the old days, I never really thought much of it. But now I'm thinking, like, why is this suddenly a storyline? 27-year-old man scared to buy condoms. I know this is a comedy trope, and they do it with, like, you know, male partners buying their partners tampons and stuff all the time. And like you said, even in the Carry-On films, and that was in the 60s, right? The men being scared to go in and buy things from shops. It went from Pretty Women or whatever. But,
or to ask about new discounts to
you know, because that happens all the time. But yeah, like, was this unusual, you know, to talk about and buy condoms? Because now obviously it's not. The stigma has been removed. That's just a little piece of foil that you throw away. And now it's completely fine to talk about contraception and stuff. But yeah, are we missing something because we're not men in this situation? Is it really that embarrassing? I would have thought it would be like a mark of your manhood, you going in and being like, look at me, I'm buying like the El Grande condoms or whatever. Yeah,
I'm gonna have sex,
so I don't understand.
Here's my condoms. Obviously, sort of when we were young, getting condoms was just a matter of going to the family planning clinic and picking up a whole wad of them for free. And that was something that you did with your mates, like after for free. That was something you did with your mates after school. You know, it was a sort of almost like a social event to all go and get your condoms from the family planning clinic. So I think for men, it's always been different because, first of all, they have to pay, which I never really understood why condoms were only available to girls at the family planning clinic. I always thought that was a bit sexist.
Well, yeah, maybe that's something that we can weigh in on, because it was like there was an attitude, wasn't there? That it's your job as a woman to be protected. But then, like, when Rodney says it, I feel in this day and age, it's every man's duty to go equipped. Was that a progressive attitude? Was it you? Because I feel like it used to be, and it still is in some circles, all on the woman to deal with contraception. Like, the man doesn't have to worry about it. But now they're even like developing like the male contraceptive pill and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Yeah, anyone want to weigh in and let us know how you feel about that?
I wrote in my notes, men of the 70s and 80s, please let us know, because I know we'll get criticism for not knowing, but generally we were just like little kids at this time. And when we watched this in the mid to late 90s, we didn't understand any of it. So
no.
I understand it now, but I'm not quite sure if I can contextualize the times and understand how men were feeling at this time. Was this a realistic attitude?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Now we see the plane taking off with some very Spanish music playing before we arrive at the airport in Mallorca. So Del, Cassandra and Rodney, I know you guys can't see this right now, but Jenny just did a Spanish dance.
It was the one from Faulty Towers when Manuel is distracting.
The one that Manuel does. Yeah. So Del, Cassandra and Rodney walk in, and Del has his signature fluffy leopard print suitcase, which is, I think, the only actually, the leopard print suitcase. I know we've seen his leopard print pants, well, swimwear. Did we actually see the leopard print suitcase before this?
I'm not sure if we saw that in It Never Rains, which is the only holiday episode before this, right? But we definitely see it in Miami Twice, for sure.
Yeah, Miami Twice we do. And we see his leopard print knickers.
Yeah.
His leopard print bathing suit again in Miami Twice. But actually, they're not the same ones, because they're fluffier, aren't they, in Miami Twice than they are in It Never Rains.
I think
they're printed in Miami.
I think, they might be like beefed up a little bit for comedy reasons.
Yeah, to look more crazy. But yeah, this is a fluffy suitcase.
It's a leopard print theme that we see with Del when he goes on holiday.
Yes. Yeah. It's so funny. So I can very clearly see on the right-hand side of the screen the man who was into Hull and Back when Del says, 15 quid to the black bloke. I see him. He's right there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Which one of our subscribers pointed that out?
I had my eye out for him because I remember you telling me that he was in this scene, and I saw him straight away because I was looking for him. I was like, oh my God, it is that guy.
I know, but I forgot to write down who told us that, and I was going to say their name. All right, I'll get it for the series wrap, I'm sorry. Somebody told us that, and that's why we looked out for it.
So Del decides that now is the perfect time to tell Cassandra and Rodney a minor detail about the holiday.
This prize ain't quite as straightforward as it seems.
Rodney did win, didn't he?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Well, it's all puckering above board and all that. I mean, we got all the tickets and everything, yeah.
So what's the problem?
That's strange, you know.
What?
Well, I noticed it on the plane, but it didn't sort of register. They're all mums and dads. They've all brought their kids with them.
What's strange about that?
Well, except for me, right? All the winners are parents.
No, it's not the parents that are the winners, Rodney. It's the kids.
This is such an amazing idea for a conflict, I just want to say. Yeah. I absolutely adore this scene. Like, the way that they all react to everything is brilliant. So Del explains that Rodney's painting won first prize in the under 15-year-old category. At first, Cassandra finds this hilarious, and Del says that the cornflake people think that Rodney is 14. And Rodney asks why he didn't say anything back in England.
Well, I thought it might cast a little cloud over the holiday.
Then Del has the audacity to blame Rodney for the situation because he wrote age 14 and a half on his painting. So he tries to convince Rodney that everything will be fine.
Doesn't matter. Now, come on. You're going to waltz through it.
Waltz through? How the hell am I going to pass for 14? Will you stop doing that, Cassandra? Act your age.
I gotta say, I love the premise, but in reality, I think most people in Rodney's position would just give up the holiday and get the flight home. You know, of course, in this day and age as well, if Rodney were like found to be a 26-year-old man hanging around with a bunch of 14-year-olds, the consequences would be much worse than losing their prize. So I think, you know, it would be normal for Rodney to be like, I don't care, like, let's just go home, I'm not doing this. But Del somehow manages to convince Rodney to consider going along with all of this by saying that 15 and 16-year-olds are much older these days than they used to. And he's not wrong in saying that Rodney has a young-looking face, but I think his height is the thing that would give him away. Because obviously when we see him later in a suit in the dance, he clearly is not a 14-year-old.
I think they joke around about the height a lot to sort of take to make that look like that's the reason a lot of people wouldn't believe it. But there were a lot of very tall, lanky kids in my school.
Yeah,
so.
well, I think that's what Del was trying to say. But yeah, Rodney does have a boyish face. That's true. So he doesn't, I mean, Del couldn't have played the 14-year-old.
How old was Nick Lyndhurst at this time? I forgot to look that up. Let's look that up now. I'll look that up while you're talking.
So it now dawns on Rodney that that's the reason that there were 3 tickets. One for the mom, one for the dad, and one for the child.
And what exactly is your role in all this?
Well, when the cornflakes people phoned up, they said that you had to be accompanied by your parents. So I said, and I don't know why I did it. I must have been flustered at the time. I said that I was your dad.
My dad? Did you hear that, Cassandra?
Yeah. And who the hell am I supposed to be, his mum?
I do love the way that he's like, I don't know why I said it, as if it was out of his control. Like, I love that. Yeah.
I must have been flustered at the time. Although we do know that Del will say anything when he's in a tough spot to get out of it. So, but I just imagine this situation, right? Your first holiday with your girlfriend or boyfriend, when you're planning to sleep together for the first time, and it ends up with her needing to pretend to be your mom all week.
Yeah.
I mean, it would put you right off, wouldn't it?
Put you right off, yeah. I just looked up and it looks like Nick Lyndhurst was 27, almost about to turn 28 when this was filmed.
Wow, yeah. So he's pretty much the age that his character is.
Yes.
Yeah. So Cassandra and Rodney both want to tell the cornflakes people the truth, and Del, the first of many times, expertly manipulates them.
If we all keep stum, we can have a lovely free holiday.
But if they find out we're lying, they'll chuck us out the hotel.
And if they find out we're telling the truth, they'll chuck us out of the hotel.
So to be fair, Del does have a point. That's true, either way. But Rodney is correct here when he says that at some point they will realise he is not 14. I mean, they realise it instantly, actually, if you look at the faces of the organisers. So Del seems to think that once they're back in the hotel, they'll be left alone. And here I actually wanted to ask you about this, dude. Do you think that Del knows at this point that it's not the case that they'll be left alone? Because I mentioned the second letter probably did have a lot of information about the way that the holiday would play out. And I just feel like Del actually does know that they won't be left alone, and he's saying this to keep Rodney there so he can have a nice holiday.
I don't know, yeah, because it depends which way you want to look at it, and just goes back to what I said about how I was uncomfortable with Rodney having such a rough time in this episode as the only criticism that I had of this episode.
Yeah.
If you believe that Del knew nothing about it, it's nicer to think that, because there can't have been that much about it in the second page. It's a very short letter. It does seem like Del is not aware of the groovy gangs and the separation thing. It just seems that way, like he's not expecting it. And yeah, like, I mean, I guess I have a little bit more to say about what I think of the whole groovy gang setup. But yeah, I would like to believe that Del did not know. And when he says to Cassandra in the hotel room, I thought they were going to leave us alone to enjoy our holiday, that I think he really did believe that.
Yeah, I'm a bit split on that. I don't know what people think in the comments, if you think Del did know and he's just bullshitting this whole time so he can have a free bloody holiday.
Because I think if Del had known all of this stuff, he might not quite have been so confident that they would be able to blag and waltz through it, because it's not actually that easy for Rodney to mingle with all the 14-year-olds. And
true.
Go on the skateboard and all that. I think you could laugh and joke and be like, yeah, he knew all that and he didn't care, he wanted to go on his holiday. But yeah, it's actually pretty hard to do all that, and Rodney's going to have to do almost all of it. So, yes.
Yeah, true. They decide to go ahead with the scam. And Del tells Cassandra to act a bit mumsy.
What do you mean, mumsy?
And Rodney looks absolutely terrified here as they're going over to sort of greet the organisers. And they go over and they meet the host, Alan Perkins. So I assume you have some information about the actor here, dude?
Okay, yeah, so Alan Perkins was played by Michael Fenton Stevens, who goes to a lot of the Only Fools and Horses events and conventions in the UK now, still to this day. He's also been in lots of other stuff, like Doctor Who, The Archers, Third and Bird, and just basically tons of stuff. His credit list on IMDb is enormous, and he's quoted in the lovely Jubbly book as saying, "I was basically offered the part. I shared an agent with David Jason, and Tony and Gareth knew me from Radioactive and KYTV, and they were happy to have me involved. I remember the first Monday morning table read. Everybody was incredibly welcoming, and we had brilliant fun." He also mentions here in Lovely Jubbly how the script kept evolving and taking shape around the table, and John Sullivan would add and remove things that worked in rehearsals. So we've definitely wondered about this a few times, and that's one of the first quotes directly to that, about how, I mean, I think that's a normal thing for all writers and sitcoms, but...
You'd think so, but I don't think it is for modern writers, based on some of the crap that seems to get through these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to totally depend on the vibes of the show. I just always felt like John Sullivan was a very, like, down-to-earth person who would definitely take suggestions and change things and evolve and be like, oh, my, you know, on the day, this might be funnier if you do this. And he also trusted the actors a lot with their improvisations, and you can see lots of things that we've mentioned over the years. Oh, that wasn't in the script, that wasn't in the script. So he was very good about that. Like, he wasn't one of those writers who was like, no, like, you deliver it my way, and probably wanted to redo the takes and stuff. I don't think he would be like that.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because that can backfire. I'm just thinking about Scrubs, because I remember a quote that said by the time they got to, like, series 6, they were making the show in the way they wanted to and not worrying so much about the network, and it ended up, in my opinion, declining in quality and got sillier. It wasn't as strong when the actors kind of took over in that show, but in Only Fools and Horses, it seems to have worked very well for them.
Well, I think you've also got, you know, very good director and crew on Only Fools and Horses that consistently worked on the show throughout the years, and you know, lacking Ray Butt at this time, obviously, but they know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
so
they're experienced enough to change it up a bit.
And they also managed to knock this out so quickly, and you can only imagine how hard that must have been on the set to have that tight turnaround. So, yeah, in my opinion, everybody must have been, like, not just professionals, but, like, pretty much miracle workers to get this to come together so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so true. So Alan gives rosettes to Cassandra and Del, and then he goes to give Rodney his badge. And we get this funny moment where he looks up, realising how tall Rodney is and how old he looks. It's like a double take. But Del quickly brushes it off, saying that Rodney's late mother was a very tall woman.
Oh, well, here's your badge, Rodney. You are now a life member of the Groovy Gang.
This is hilarious. I mean, it's already funny enough that Rodney has to pretend to be 14, but to add this, like, extra layer that now he has to be a member of the Groovy Gang, it's just absolute comedy gold. And it's interesting to see Cassandra still finding joy in the situation, even after she finds out that she has to pretend to be his mom. She laughs at Rodney's initiation into the Groovy Gang, and Del is the one who actually has to nudge her to stop laughing. And Alan explains the rules of the Groovy Gang.
Every time one of the organisers says, "Are you having fun?" or you kids shout, "Groovy!"
Now, admittedly, it's been a long time since I was 14, but I think I would have found this really childish at that age. Like, teenagers like to act cool and act like they're older, and this feels like something you'd do if you had, like, 8 or 9-year-old kids, not teenagers.
I put this in my notes too, and I put maximum 12 probably. And after that, because I think in England you start high school in 11 or 12, right?
Yeah, 11, 12 years old.
You would be way too cool for school for this. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's the same. I'm not sure. Like, because, John Sullivan had children by this point, right? I do think this was written for the wrong age. As much as I find it hilarious and I don't want to pick apart the plot, I agree. I don't think kids of 14 this is not suited for them.
Yeah.
Like, I remember doing that, like, here we go stuff when I was in primary school. But when I was 14, there is no way. I would have been like, no way, Mom and Dad, I'm not doing this. And I would have gone and sulked in the hotel room and read a book.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, I teach teenagers, and I'm fairly certain all of them would just, like, tell me to fuck off if I tried to do something like this with them.
Yeah.
So, I completely agree. So you can already see how suspicious Alan is about the Trotter family, because after he's like leaving them, he gives Rodney another like funny look as he's going out of the shot. And Del reiterates that they will soon be at the hotel and there's no need to worry. But unfortunately, or fortunately for the audience, that is not the case. So another organizer, Carmen, gathers the members of the Groovy Gang. And do you want to talk about the actress who plays Carmen, dude?
Yeah, Carmen was played by Gina Bellman, who is known for the TV shows Leverage and Coupling, as well as many other roles. And she was born in New Zealand. She is not Spanish, but she definitely looks the part, you know. You always get these like really beautiful like hotel reps, you know, to deal with the tourists and stuff. So yeah, she was perfectly cast, I think.
So as I mentioned, Carmen calls the members of the Groovy Gang to come over, as they will be travelling on the fan bus while the adults are going, the old fogies are going to the hotel for cocktails.
Go on then, Rodney, go on, off you go. There you go, you're going with the Groovy Gang.
I'm going with the shopping Groovy Gang.
Come on, Rodney, don't let us down now. Come on.
They're looking over here.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a Rodney Trotter.
So again, they don't know kids at all. You don't call out like that. The kid would be humiliated.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. Carmen walks over to collect Rodney, and she's also taken aback by how old Rodney looks. So Rodney actually acts like a grumpy teenager here.
Hurry up, Rodney.
I'm not going.
Is he not a good mixer?
Well, good mixer, him. He's like a Kenwood chef when he gets going.
Why didn't Del say here, no, he's not. He's got, like, anxiety issues.
Yeah, I literally talk about this, dude. We'll talk about this. So Carmen physically takes Rodney away to join the Groovy Gang and tells him that he'll be having a hamburger with double french fries. And as he's leaving, Del hints to Cassandra to act like a mom.
Don't get any ketchup down your shirt.
Get two, Cassandra.
I've never actually understood the line that Rodney says back to her here, so I figured you might be able to tell me what it says in the script, because all I hear is the last word, Cassandra. Like, he mumbles something to Cassandra after she says, don't get any ketchup down your shirt.
Oh, he says 8-2, like 8-2 Brute. It's like a quote from Julius Caesar.
Wow, I had no idea. So the line that Cassandra says about getting ketchup down the shirt actually gets a round of applause, which must have felt wonderful for Gwyneth, because I think that's like the biggest compliment you can receive when you're recording a comedy show. Although that bit you said wasn't live. Oh no, that bit was live. In the studio.
It says here that it wasn't live.
It wasn't. So that was added afterwards. So she wouldn't have heard it.
Another thing is that it doesn't, like, I've noticed this a few times, and I guess I can throw this in here, that any time that the applause and the laughter drowns out lines is usually a sign that it wasn't live. Not always, because a lot of the time they can't act differently, but a lot of the time when it is live, the actors will pause and allow for the applause.
Yes, and allow the...
Whereas, you know, the fact that a line is completely drowned out here by laughter is a sign that it wasn't recorded live.
Yeah.
And it says in Mike Jones's production diary that possible airport departure lounge locations for this scene were scouted in Bristol, but due to the tight turnaround time, these ended up being shot in the studio on the non-audience day, which was Saturday, the 21st of January, 1989. So it's kind of confirmed in there that this was not shot in front of a live studio audience. I always thought it was.
Yeah, I did too.
But I think obviously there's no way for us to tell the difference. We always assume that the studio looking shots were in front of the audience, but this one and the hotel foyer were not, I guess.
So Del leads Cassandra out as though he is her husband, and I love that awkward body language between them.
I love that
really
walk.
stiff.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Come on, darling.
Don't push your luck, Derek.
I love that whenever anyone's pissed off with Del, they call him Derek. Raquel does it too.
Yeah. Derek, your breakfast is on the table.
Rodney tends to call him Derek with like sarcasm. when he does it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, Derek, I'm not doing that.
True.
Yeah, it's very funny. So Rodney is left standing with the Groovy Gang, carrying a ginormous suitcase that presumably your parents would have taken with them if they were really your parents. And all the other kids have small bags. So now we meet Trudy, who is the young girl who takes a liking to Rodney in this episode. Do you have any information about that actress, dude?
She was played by, I guess it's Lucia or Luscia Kellgren, who doesn't have much on IMDb, but she was in 5 episodes of a show called Never Say Die in 1987. So I'm guessing this was more her era of acting and stuff. But yeah, not much after that, I don't think.
Again, I just think to myself, what an amazing credit to have, though, on your very small resume that you were in an episode of Only Fools and Horses.
She doesn't have much to do. It's more her body language and the way she looks at Rodney that's memorable in this scene, yeah.
Yes, very true. So Trudy asks Rodney if he likes Bros, and he just says no. Which is actually, again, in keeping with what a moody teenage boy would probably do. So Rodney's playing the part very well here. And I love how over the top they go with this groovy gang stuff in this bit.
All together, are you having fun?
Groovy!
That's better. Let's go. Here we go. Here we go.
You already mentioned this, but this is another thing where I think teenagers wouldn't think this was cool and they wouldn't like play along with this. But you know who Carmen reminds me of? Carmen reminds me of the people that I worked with at the camp when I spent the summer in America doing the Camp Counselors USA thing back in 2007. That like overly enthusiastic yet patronizing way of communicating with people. It's like, campers, are you ready? Yeah, like that kind of thing. It was just, it was awful. And that's just what these like sort of organizers are usually like, that have like the bunch of kids to lead.
Yeah,
it's always like
very
that.
true. And honestly, American kids would probably have taken to this more.
Yes.
Like when I think back, like I'm thinking of my primary school, and like I say, I could see me doing this in primary school, but not in high school. And kids in America are a lot more still kind of animated and aren't as worried about
maybe not as much nowadays, but I know what you mean. They seem to be more up for that kind of like silly over the top thing. But do you know what, that's probably because a lot of them do go to camps in the summer, and the camps are like that, so they're used to that kind of shit.
Well, also in America, the way that adults are treated at things like, I mean, I'm just going to talk about sports games like basketball games and stuff. That's how the announcers are with the adults, and the adults are like, yay, come on, like they don't mind acting like, I feel like acting like kids. And I just sit there all the time thinking, what the fuck? Like, it's like commercialized behavior.
There's no shame or embarrassment, is there? That's why.
But I do think, for me personally, 14 was an age of, brooding and moodiness rather than this kind of attitude. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just being embarrassed in front of people doing anything.
Yeah, one thing that's really spot on is Trudy, like being very obsessed with one band or one thing is very 14-year-old girl, yeah.
I would imagine most teenagers would find that insufferable. So the last shot of the scene is Rodney walking out far behind the rest of the Groovy Gang, carrying, again, that ginormous suitcase and also a bag of duty-free.
Yeah.
Another thing that would surely have been given to his parents, because you'd never let your 14-year-olds carry a bag of liquor.
I do love the fact that he's carrying what is obviously a bag of duty-free. It's very funny.
I know, it's so funny. So yeah, an absolutely hilarious and wonderful scene, I wrote. Any notes on that scene, dude?
We've covered some of my notes already, but so there is another little cut in the script where Del tells Cassandra that he told the Megaflakes people that Rodney's mom sadly passed away, which is the truth, I guess, and that I'd met a much younger woman who'd become a very important part of my life. That's the lie that he says in the script. So it's funny that they left that out, but he does say the late mother when he's talking to Alan, which is funny. And I think we've covered everything else. Everything else in my notes has been covered by what we've already talked about. So we can move on to the hotel room.
Okay, cool. So now we go to the hotel room, and it's actually a very good set. When I was a kid, I definitely thought this was a real hotel room. So I think that that's a testament to the set.
Yeah, it's very believable as a hotel room.
Yeah. So Cassandra is putting away some of the duty-free liquor on the table and unpacking the suitcase. And Del comes in and asks her if she's all right. And then she slams the wardrobe door. So nice and passive-aggressive there. Del mentions that he has purchased some Spanish lottery tickets, which will become very important later on. And he mentions that he's filled them in. So I've always been curious about this, because I've never known the lottery to require you to write the name of the person that the ticket belongs to on it. Like, usually you just have a ticket, and if it wins, anyone with that ticket can claim the prize, right?
Well, yeah, I can't question that because I don't know how the Spanish lottery works, but obviously the storyline wouldn't have worked if they didn't have the names on it because it has to be Rodney's
Yeah,
ticket.
I said maybe someone in the comments can explain if that was like different in Spain in the late 1980s, because obviously they have this specific ticket for Rodney for the joke at the end of the episode to her, like you said, but I just wondered if that was actually real. That's actually what they did do with, Spanish lottery tickets. So Cassandra is unresponsive to Del, so he decides to address the issue.
Oh, look, don't keep going on about it. You're going to spoil the holiday, you are.
Del being his usual selfish self here. Of course, he is fine with the situation because he gets to just have a nice holiday without any interruption. It makes me think about Miami Twice and how Del was willing to put his own desire to get away from the wine deal over helping Cassandra and Rodney sort out their marriage problems.
Yeah.
Like, you just think about how selfish Del really is. So Cassandra and Del discuss the sleeping arrangements.
If that's Rodney's room, where am I supposed to sleep?
Well, I thought that you and Rodney... No, maybe not, eh? No.
I'll sleep in there. You and Rodney can have the honeymoon bed.
All right. Anything you say, sweetheart, anything you say. I just thought it might be a bit strange when the old maid come in, see me and old Rodney tucked up on the king size.
It would look even stranger if she found Rodney sleeping with his stepmother.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, I don't think they thought this through at all, did they, about how they'd sleep. You just wouldn't be in the mood, though, would you, to do anything? Not to mention that it would be, really awkward because Del is sharing the hotel room with you guys as well. It's just a very awkward situation.
I was going to say that they must have already known that they were just going to have one room for the three of them, or did they? Maybe Rodney and Cassandra thought they were going to get their own room.
Maybe, yeah, because this is what I mean. This is like a detail that you would assume because there's 3 adults, according to Rodney, that, they maybe even have up to 3 hotel rooms. It's too many questions. So Cassandra rightly blames Del for everything. And Del reiterates that he thought the cornflake people would leave them alone. He was surprised that they conscripted Rodney into the groovy gang. So Cassandra says they explained that they did it so the teenagers wouldn't get bored and the parents could have a rest. But I'm actually surprised that they didn't give them a choice. Because I know it's like a stereotype that parents don't want to spend time with their kids when they go on holidays, but I think a lot of them actually do. And I mean, surely they would want at least a few days together. So I would have thought that they would have been able to say oh, we want to spend some time with our teenage son instead of him joining the groovy gang. What would have been the problem with that?
I don't know. And
you kind of touched on that in the last scene. So.
Yeah, and I wonder what, if John Sullivan had ever experienced something like this, been on a vacation or, where he, seen something like this done, because I never have. And I guess it could all just be based on the fact that it's the competition. But yeah, I mean, when we were kids, it was easier because there were 3 of us. So if mom and dad didn't want to spend time with us, they would just send us off to do our own thing, which is fine. But yeah, is it a thing to give the parents that choice? Because, yeah, again, 14's not really young enough to be okay, we're going to take your kid off your hands, because he would have been okay on his own.
Yeah.
He could have gone off and done stuff by himself. So
yeah, exactly. It just seems weird that wasn't an option for them.
Yeah, in reality, because I think nowadays, again, and I sort of touched upon this on the last scene, you can't pressure kids into doing stuff now, because they could just be I've got a disability or condition, and a lot of the time there's social anxiety, because I would have hated this for that reason too. You wouldn't want to stick me with a bunch of strangers, because I was not a good mixer. I liked hanging out with my own friends, but if you'd put me with a bunch of kids like this, I would have just been silent the whole time and afraid.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very difficult to force, well, not just kids, force anybody into doing anything they don't want to do these days.
Yeah, and I should have said that back in the last scene. When Alan said, is he not a good mixer? In reality, Del should have said, actually, no, he's really shy, and so can we just keep him to ourselves? Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Again,
exactly.
Just pulling the plot apart, it shouldn't, but because it's so funny,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So Del and Cassandra go onto the balcony, and Del sees Rodney off in the distance.
Hey, Rodney, don't go mad. They just went down over that hill there.
That was quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were on skateboards.
So Cassandra's reaction here, it's quite hard to gauge, because it looks like she's upset when she says, oh God, but then it also kind of looks like she's still laughing. What do you think, dude?
Yeah, it's in this whole episode, it's hard to tell whether Cassandra finds it funny or she's upset, because she does feel sorry for Rodney, but a lot of it she keeps laughing. So I think, again, that's why we like Cassandra in this episode.
Yes.
Because if she'd just been moody and serious the whole time and ruining it, it would have not been fun to watch. I think that having her laugh a lot of the time really helps with the light-hearted air that this episode has.
Yeah, true. So there's a knock at the door, and Carmen opens the door without anyone answering it, which I'm just going to say is fucking rude. Just saying. Like,
yes, she just charges
knock,
in.
Knock, open someone's stranger's hotel room, walk in, have a look, like before someone answers the door. So rude. So she calls Cassandra Mrs. Trotter, and it occurred to me here that it's not just Rodney's passport that would be problematic in this situation, because, like, I know some women don't take their husband's name when they get married, but she responds to Mrs. Trotter. So wouldn't she need to be Mrs. Trotter on her passport?
Yeah, it's true. It's just a little overlook there, because in that line that was cut from the previous scene, it makes it sound like Del isn't married to Cassandra. He just met another woman, and she was like his stepmother in essence, but he doesn't say, like, Yeah,
I mean, that would have made more sense for them to say that, but the fact that, like, she does respond to Mrs. Trotter kind of, takes that away. So they check all 3 of the passports later in the scene. So, yeah, they would clearly see Cassandra's last name was still Parry. Carmen asks if Rodney is there. How does she not know that Rodney is currently having an activity with the Groovy Gang? Like,
she's the one who took him up on the bus.
I know. Is Rodney here? No, you dumbass. You know, where are you? You don't know where my son is, and I left him with you?
That's what I would have been like. I was like, no, you just took him off on the fun bus. Like, where is he?
So she tells him that there's a junior disco on Wednesday night that Rodney will be invited to. And she says she'll come back later to tell Rodney, and she leaves. So yeah, I wonder why they had that little bit in there, actually, because she turns up again in a few minutes with Alan. So I wonder why they felt the need to put her in this little bit.
Because they had to have the line in the next exchange about the junior disco.
About the junior disco. It's literally just for that bit.
That's what I think.
Probably true.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's all right. Rodney likes a little dance.
It's a junior disco.
Well, all right, we'll say he's ill.
Oh, what more lies?
No, that'll be the truth. When we tell him he's bound to be at Tom and Dick.
I'm assuming Tom and Dick is referring to sick in Cockney rhyming slang, presumably.
That's right. Yeah. They've used that before, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check. So Del goes to have a wash, at which point Rodney returns from his skateboarding. He certainly got back up to the hotel room very quickly from over there in the distance.
I always thought that too. Yeah, he's suddenly back. Yeah.
So Rodney's kitted out in all the skateboarding gear, and it gets a round of applause, this part here. And this entrance actually reminds me of when Ronnie comes home in Yuppie Love. He's just sort of walked in, he's in a mood, and he stands there until someone talks to him, looking angry. It's the exact same attitude.
What have you been doing?
I've been skateboarding, Cassandra.
Oh, I see.
Where's Del?
He's having a wash.
Derek? Yes, I'm back. Could you come out, please? I'd like a word with you. No, could you come out now?
Oh, I've got my pants off, Rodney.
Well, it's quite urgent, Del.
Yeah, right. Give us 5 minutes, I'll be with you.
Sorry about the bad language, Cassandra.
What bad language?
Get it in there, you dipstick! I'm going to kill you!
I love how Rodney is acting like he's totally fine before he decides to go off on Del, just to get Del to come out of the room. But again, if you know your brother, you'd know that that was a put on the way that he speaks. He's too nice. So when he said that he was going to use bad language, I actually thought John Sullivan would have put something a bit more extreme in there than dipstick.
Well, the script says bastard, and I don't know why it was changed. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people comment on that because he doesn't use bad language unless you count dipstick as bad language.
Yeah, he just says dipstick is very tame, so yeah.
But yeah, it says bastard in the script. I don't know why that was changed.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought, like, because the word shit has been used quite a few times up until now. I mean, I know it gets taken out of some of the episodes now when they're broadcast, but I think he could have gotten away with calling him you little shit or something like this.
Well, in all the other scenes, whenever Rodney or anybody says bloody hell, like, they apologise to Cassandra as if she's like too sensitive. So maybe they thought bastard was too rude to say in front of Cassandra. But again, I think we've laughed about this before. Like,
yeah.
None of the language in Only Fools and Horses is bad language. I think it's just that maybe for its time and being respectful and stuff to the ladies. He's almost offended some of the ladies.
He ordered a bum and rack. Yeah. So Rodney continues to talk to Del through the door.
I'll tell you what's up with me. Thanks to you, I am now a 26-year-old man who's just come second in a skateboard derby.
Second? You were in the lead when I saw you.
I fell off.
I told you not to go mad.
I love how Del clearly does not have his pants off when he comes out of the door to say that line to Rodney.
And I really love the way that Rodney or Nick Lynnhurst pushes the door.
Yes.
Like the way that he pushes his body into the door when Del pops out. It's so childish and so funny.
Especially wearing that gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part is also similar to Yuppie Love because Del is once again a bit frightened of what Rodney will do when he gets hold of him, like running around the room. No, stop it. No, calm down.
He calms down pretty quick, though.
He does, actually. Well, he still says, "Get!" But yeah, he's quite calm when Del approaches. So Del tells Rodney to calm down because he's acting like a big kid. The irony. I think this episode is the angriest, I said this earlier, it's the angriest we've ever seen Rodney with Del. He's almost murderous in this episode.
Well, I'll wait. I don't care if it takes all bloody week. I'm going to get you, Derek Trotter. I'm going to get you.
It's like he's forgotten Cassandra's there. How crazy that must have made him look. So Cassandra tries to diffuse the situation, but it would be so difficult if you were in Cassandra's position here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to think if one of our boyfriends like got in the middle of us when we were having a big argument. Oh, I mean, obviously, you know, she's on Rodney's side, but she also doesn't want to inflame things by sort of being like, yeah, and sort of, you know, I mean, she does actually do that a little bit later in the scene where she sort of agrees with Rodney when she says, "You're deliberately saying things to wind him up, aren't you?" So Rodney and Cassandra go out to the balcony and she asks Rodney if he would like a drink.
Strychnine, please.
Rodney then proceeds to show Cassandra the mark on his arm where he came off his skateboard. And actually, I love the parallels with like a son showing his mom where he's injured.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Such clever writing. So Rodney continues to act like a teenager.
Shall I clean it up for you?
No.
Well, it could turn septic.
Good.
Then Rodney spots Trudy, the 13-year-old Bros fan who has a crush on him, waving at him. And he waves back, which causes Cassandra to burst into laughter and leave the balcony. So Del creeps out, literally creeps out from the bathroom with his hands sort of flailing around. But still keeping his distance from Rodney. And he approaches him slowly on the balcony.
Fay nights, right? Fay nights.
I remember something similar to this when we were kids, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, where you did a certain action and it meant no one could hurt you or you couldn't be touched in the game.
Yes, that's what it means.
I might be thinking of, like, Tig or Stuck in the Mud. Yeah, like, do you remember what we used to do?
No, I was just trying to think of it because, yeah, I see that people online have questioned what does Del mean by Fay nights here, and that's all it means. It's like in a game setting, like that you're untouchable
It's like
or whatever.
pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hurt me.
But you're right, there is
Time out, essentially, right?
There is like a thing that we used to say when we were kids, and I can't remember what it was, where you were like untouchable.
Yeah, maybe Fran can remember. Fran tends to remember stuff like this better than we do. Del says,
No, Rodney. Look, do you think if I knew this was going to happen that I'd allow us to come over here?
Of course you would. Because you don't give a toss about anybody else as long as you're having a good time.
Del acts hurt, but to be fair, Rodney isn't wrong.
No, that's the thing. We don't know that.
We have on multiple occasions seen Del having a great time when everybody else is miserable.
Yes.
So Del says that he may be many things, but he's not selfish at the exact same moment that he takes the drink that Cassandra has made for Rodney and drinks it.
Yes.
Rodney now tells Del that this will last for the entire week, and he lists all the activities that he's going to need to participate in. And Del continues to make jokes, even though you'd think by now he would have learnt his lesson to stop winding Rodney up.
Then on Thursday, me and the rest of the groovy gang are out all day painting Parma Cathedral.
What, in matte or vinyl?
You're enjoying every bloody minute of this.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just trying to lighten the atmosphere. Honestly, if you keep up this mood, you're going to ruin this holiday for us.
Listen to me, you kids.
The argument is not going to help.
So they really are like a little family at this point. It's quite funny. And Del tries to take the second drink that Cassandra has made for Rodney before Rodney snatches it from Del. Del then mentions the junior disco and Rodney reacts badly. Del says that he's going to say Rodney's ill.
Oh, no, don't say I'm ill.
Why not?
I got a great fat nurse to look after us.
You like a bit of uniform, though, don't you?
I wonder if this is the first time that Cassandra has heard that Rodney likes uniforms. I mean, she doesn't seem to react badly to it. But when we revisit this exact topic, when they're married in the first part of Miami Twice, she seems very upset when Rodney asks her to wear one. So I also find it interesting that Rodney doesn't deny that he likes uniforms in front of Cassandra in this moment. But when she asks him again later on in the scene if he likes uniforms, he says Del was just messing around. But honestly, she seems pretty up for it based on her body language and facial expressions.
Yeah, that's just going to be him, like, not being sure if he can push it that far because they haven't even slept together yet at this point. So, yeah, I agree. Her look on her face makes it seem like she's intrigued. And then she asks about it in a light-hearted way. And then we fast forward to Miami twice, and that's what caused their massive fallout. And then we go all the way forward to if they could see us now, and she's happy to dress up. So, but I guess, yeah, you evolve with time, and when you're young you're a little bit more up for stuff,
or you are progressive, then you de-evolve, then you re-evolve in this case.
Well, I mean, it does make sense if you think about it. She's young and experimental, she's 21, then she's married and she goes all cranky and wants to get mad at Rodney about everything, and then their marriage levels out and she's like, okay, let's try something new, we're older. It makes sense.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm not married, but I can assume that's what your marriage is like then, dude.
I mean, no, but like as you get older, I mean, you're almost the same age as me. You know how much you change. Like 21-year-old you is not you in your 30s. It's not you in your 40s.
Oh my God, I wouldn't even recognize 21-year-old me. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, it isn't completely implausible that she changes her mind. I guess the argument in Miami twice seems crazy, but I think it would hint that maybe they're not really arguing over that. That was just a last straw kind of argument.
True.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's happened by that point. That's true. So Del realizes that the best thing to do is to leave the room when he is told off by both Rodney and Cassandra. So here, Cassandra does start backing up Rodney. As Del is getting ready to leave the hotel room, Cassandra goes and sits next to Rodney, and Rodney lights up a fag to have with his alcoholic drink. And I think this might be the first time we've actually seen Rodney smoking in front of Cassandra.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem to mind.
No.
Yeah. I'd imagine she'd be the sort of character that wouldn't like smoking, so I think it's quite interesting. And then we get this brilliant moment here.
Yes?
Is Rodney back yet?
Oh, yeah, come in. Just a minute. I'll give him a shout. Rodney, the RK lorry's here.
Rodney hastily handing the cigarette and drink to Del is absolutely brilliant. The way that David Jason just like starts puffing away and relaxes and like crosses his legs. It's just so good. There's a very well-earned round of applause from the audience on that moment. We've got quite a few rounds of applause from the audience for different moments. Like Cassandra going to the loo, Cassandra saying, don't get ketchup down your shirt. We get another one here. So the audience is loving this.
Yes.
So here we can see that Alan and Carmen are suspicious of Rodney's age because they asked to see their passports. Cassandra goes to get them, and Del tells Rodney that he's doctored his passport. So surely even the way that Rodney pushes Del out onto the balcony here would indicate that he's not his son. But anyway, Carmen and Alan slowly look through the passports, and as I mentioned earlier, would have seen that Cassandra's name was not Trotter. Obviously, the entire premise wouldn't work nowadays because passports are not handwritten.
Right.
Honestly, it baffles me that they ever were. I mean, it must have been so easy to forge passports in the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know, different times.
Rodney definitely gives the game away with his facial expressions in this part. He looks terrified. It reminds me of the part in Royal Flush when he's buying the programme.
Mm-hmm.
Not buying the programme, giving the tickets in, and he thinks they're forged.
Yes.
But I love the shot of Alan, Carmen, Del and Cassandra all staring at Rodney with suspicion. That's really funny. So Carmen and Alan reluctantly accept the passports are genuine, and she tells Rodney again about the junior disco before they leave. Del, Cassandra and Rodney take a huge sigh of relief, and this situation appears to be a bit of an aphrodisiac for Rodney and Cassandra.
Listen, I reckon we ought to keep our heads down for a while, all right? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll order some room service for us, OK?
What? No. You don't have to do that. I mean, we're all right now, aren't we?
See?
Why don't you go out for a little while? Well, you look like you could do with a bit of fresh air.
Del gets up to go out, and Cassandra goes over to sit with Rodney. But unfortunately, Del has one more thing to add before he leaves.
Rodney?
Yeah?
They're in my flight bag.
Honestly, I don't really know why this would stop them having sex, because they were clearly indicating to Del to get him out of there that they were going to have sex. So why does it really make any difference? Like, why would that put a down on things just because Del said that? Like, they literally move apart and look like, oh, that's it, now we can't do it at the end of the scene.
I think it's just because of the spontaneity of the moment is ruined. That's why. Because, like, you can hint at all this stuff, but once you say it, you ruin the moment. That's what it all is.
No, it never ruined it for me, but anyway.
All right.
So anyway, that's all I had for that scene. Any notes, dude?
I think I've covered most of them. The only thing I've noted here is, firstly, it says in the script that the passport thing happens because they are suspicious of Rodney's age. It's not a regulation. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of obvious. They wouldn't just come to the hotel room and check your passport because they didn't even mention as well the fact that Rodney went through customs and his passport said that and no one flagged anything. So, like, I don't know. Spanish customs can really tell the age of, like, somebody like Rodney. But still, his passport said that and he went through... it says that they're suspicious because I wasn't sure. I mean, I think I knew when I was a kid they are suspicious because of the way they look at Rodney, but, you know, they might be suspicious in moments, but then they treat him like a kid. It's like, Rodney, this junior disco and the breakdancing, like all of that. They don't act like he's an adult when they say all that. So they are suspicious, I guess that's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, the fact that they come together... it also indicates they're suspicious because, like, they come almost like, you know, heavy-handed, the two of them together, so they can bust Rodney on the spot and the family, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then I thought we should also just mention that Bros were an actual English band from Surrey. Matt and Luke Goss, who were twins, were the members of the band, known for songs like When Will I Be Famous? And Drop the Boy. So, yeah, very popular at that time, I guess, especially among... young teenage girls like Trudy.
Yes.
And that was all I had, really. We can move on to the junior disco.
We are now on Wednesday night because it's the...
junior disco.
Oh, did you do the accent again?
I know, I was just kidding.
Ruined it. So Rodney is inside dancing with Trudy and Cassandra is outside on her own looking miserable while Del is chatting up a couple of salts at the bar. So Del makes plans to see them later and then he goes over to Cassandra. I actually really like the continuity here because Cassandra and Del both appear to have tans, as though they've been in the sun, which is, you know, something that you wouldn't think they'd think about because they probably haven't been in the sun. Not really. So this next part, I'm pretty sure is cut from the DVD version where Del asks Rodney if he's all right and Rodney gives him the middle finger. The reason I think it's cut from the DVD versions is because we obviously are watching the uncut version for this review and I've only watched the DVD versions for like the last sort of 10 years before we were able to get hold of the uncut versions. And I forgot about this part until I watched this uncut version. I was like, oh, right. Like, I forgot about that bit. And I feel like I hadn't seen it for a long time. Do you know if it's cut in the DVD version, dude?
I don't know for sure. I would have to have somebody confirm. I haven't watched my DVDs in a very long time. I was just going from memory. So, yeah, I don't know.
I know we had this bit recorded off the TV when we were young. I remember it in the episode, in the original airing. But yeah, I feel like it is cut. But yeah, for the life of me, I can't imagine why it would be cut if it is. Because, like, if they're worried about the middle finger, they'd have to cut, like, swivel on that, camel breath.
Well, maybe it is cut. I don't know. Because I'm not sure what's cut and what's not, to be honest, in this case. Because, like you said, we had this one recorded from the TV. That's the version I remember. I have a vague feeling that there was it's just a cut away, so it still shows Del's reaction. It just doesn't show Rodney doing the finger.
No, I probably should watch the DVD version. I can correct that in the series overview.
Yeah, you can watch it in the meantime, and because it's going to be a while before we get to the rap, because we still got to do Jolly Boys Out.
So this is what I would say is peak manipulation from Del, this whole scene here.
Why do you think he's carrying on with this pretense? He certainly ain't doing it for me, because if me and Rodders had been here on our own, we were in out in that street 10 minutes after landing. Yeah. He's only doing this for you, sweetheart.
Really?
Would I lie to you? He only wants to see you having a good time. He wants to see you enjoying the sunshine. He's only trying to make you happy. So the least you can do is to put on a smile and show that your sacrifices have not been in vain.
I didn't realise.
No. Well, there you are.
I do think that Rodney is mainly doing this for Cassandra, but at the same time, Del is making out that Cassandra has to be more appreciative of what Rodney is doing by putting on an act that she's enjoying herself. That is so manipulative, but also very clever. And Rodney comes out of the dance hall with Trudy closely following him. I think it's really funny they decided to put Rodney in his suit for this because he looks even older. Like, they should have got him like a young-looking T-shirt with like a logo on it or something because he looks like even older than 26 here. And Rodney's very harsh with Trudy.
I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, I know. Poor Trudy.
I actually said I feel a bit sorry for Trudy here because she must have left this holiday thinking like, that 14-year-old boy that I have a crush on didn't fancy me. That really affects you when you're a teenager. Bless. So Rodney comes over.
Having fun?
Groovy.
Yeah?
You didn't get me a drink then?
Right.
Well, not to worry, I'll get mine on.
So Rodney strops over to the bar, closely followed by Del, and Rodney orders a large Bacardi and Coke, and Del orders an orange cordial. So now we see that Rodney has finally had enough.
Del, I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care if they do chuck us out on the street, mate. I just don't care.
I wonder if Del could see this coming, and this is why he decided to manipulate both of them in this moment. I mean, like, from Rodney's perspective, it's pretty amazing that he was willing to go along with this for as long as he has been. But Del now expertly manipulates Rodney just as he did with Cassandra.
What about that poor mare? She's having the time of her life on this holiday.
Are you both talking about Cassandra?
Yes, we are. She just told me.
But last night she told me she hated it. Said she'd rather be self-catering in Beirut.
No, she's only doing that for you. Because she thinks you got the hump because you've had to go in for these ping-pong championships and hamburger eating contests. She's only backing you up. But secretly, really, she's really enjoying herself.
I'm actually surprised Rodney fell for this.
I was going to say,
because anyone with
agree.
half a brain can see that Cassandra is not enjoying herself at all. Like, why would you enjoy yourself if the person that you came on holiday with couldn't spend any time with you and was off doing teenage things the entire week? Like, I understand why Cassandra fell for this manipulation because, you know, she doesn't want to upset Rodney and she's putting on an act for Rodney. That makes sense, but for the life of me, I cannot understand why Rodney would fall for this.
I actually,
but anyway,
I don't really like this part of the episode that much because I don't believe that they would both agree to say they were enjoying it because they've obviously been alone together and talked about it, and there's no way that.
Yeah, they both. Yeah. I mean, Cassandra said Rodney cried, and then also Rodney said Cassandra told me she hates it. Yeah, why would they lie to each other and not to Del? That doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, I think if I could change anything about this episode, I would extend the hotel room kind of stuff and just have skipped the whole junior disco and just gone to the end scene because I don't feel like it's really necessary, and I don't believe that Del would have been able to talk them into agreeing, but that's all.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, absolutely, about this scene. I think this is probably my least favourite part of the episode. Yeah, but I still love the episode. So the drinks come and Del switches them, so Rodney has to drink the orange cordial.
Aww, I know.
So Rodney goes back over to the table with Del, and we see the fruits of Del's manipulation.
You enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I'm having a great time. You?
Yeah, cosmic. Wish we were staying here for a fortnight. You enjoying yourself, Del?
Oh, you know, not bad, I suppose.
Yeah, Del making out he's not enjoying himself after manipulating both of them to make out that they are. It's perfect and very in keeping with Del's character, is what I said. So he sees the two sorts he was chatting up earlier at the bar, and he goes with them to go onto a club. So after Del leaves, we see Carmen coming out with Trudy. So presumably Trudy told on Rodney and got Carmen to come out with her to bring him back. It's like, he won't come out with me, Carmen. And she's like, let's go and get him. That was a terrible accent. I don't know what the hell that was.
Let's go and get him.
Let's go and get him.
I'm still waiting for
Rodney Trotter. Yeah, she just come out and say that. So yeah, I just think it's really funny that that's probably what happened.
Rodney, it's the finals of the breakdancing championship.
Good.
Fancy watching?
Watching? I'm in it.
In a suit. Rodney's breakdancing.
I know, and he's in the final, which means he did well.
He did well.
I wish we could have seen that.
I wish we could have seen that. I wanted to see him skateboarding as well. He's obviously very good at all these teenage activities.
Yeah.
So Cassandra and Rodney get up and go into the dance hall, and that is the end of the scene. Any notes, dude? Or any other notes, should I say?
No, the only note I wrote for this scene is the Birdie song is always the perfect junior disco song. That's all I wrote.
Yeah, again, junior implies something under 10 to me.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's a weird word. Who knows what it really means, but...
Although I've seen adults getting off their face and loving the Birdie songs.
Well, I was going to say,
it's a universal
the Birdie song is one of those songs that's like a cliche to play at a big adult party too. So I just remember our junior discos. And again, they were only in primary school. I don't remember any discos or whatever in high school.
We were so cool by then.
This is all stuff they could do like 8 or 9-year-olds and stuff, not 14-year-olds. Yeah, but...
Yeah, you're right. We never used to have discos when we were in high school, but probably because all the kids would have ended up fucking each other. That's probably why they didn't do it. In primary school, like, they were still kids enough that they could dress up and nothing would... I mean, there was kissing and stuff going on, but nothing else major. But if you'd had, like, I think, like, even by the time we were in, like, grade 8, if you'd had like a dance at the school and everyone would have like gotten dressed up, there probably would have been people doing it in the toilet stalls.
Yeah, I don't know, but still. I know we've harped on about this long enough, so that's fine. I was just going to say that another reason I think this scene I'm not a fan of is because Rodney and Cassandra end up getting left behind to deal with the junior disco. And here you do actually see that Del is getting the full experience. He's going out with a couple of sorts and he ends up spending the night out and he gets to have a great holiday. And Rodney and Cassandra are stuck pretending they're having a good time to each other while Del goes off. So that's probably why I don't like this scene that much, because of that bad feeling. But
again, it's not out of character. I mean, Del
it's not. No.
is like that. So, no. So now we go to the final scene in the lobby of the hotel. And it's the next morning. And Del is only just coming back from his night on the town with these two sorts. Yeah. So he goes to the bar and he orders a pina colada. And you can buy us a pina colada on buymeacoffee.com.
You did that joke already once.
I know. I think every time a pina colada is mentioned, I'm going to make that a thing.
We should put in a soundbite every time we say pina colada, a little like, "Way!" clink of the glass.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Rodney and Cassandra come running in.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Sorry, dear, I've been out all night.
You know, you said we was on the winning roll.
Yeah.
It wasn't a roll, my son. It was a bloody avalanche.
I'm not with you, Rodney.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Hey?
We've won.
Oh, what are you going on about, Rodders?
We've won!
What, the breakdancing contest?
No, you know those Spanish state lottery tickets you bought?
Yes.
Well,
We've won!
You're winding me out.
No, look.
Rodney says that Cassandra was able to check the numbers because she did Spanish in school, and it appears that they have won the lottery. And they are very excited about 1 million pesetas.
You know what this means, don't you, Rodney? We're millionaires. What have I always said over the years?
You've always said
yes, this time next year, we'll be millionaires.
So Cassandra points out that it's only 1 million pesetas. So I was actually wondering how much this was in pounds sterling, and Google reckons that it's between £5,000 and £5,500
In the 80s?
in the 80s.
Okay, yeah. I didn't look that up, yeah.
So that isn't that much for a lottery win.
I don't
know.
know.
I would expect at least sort of £50,000 for a lottery win.
I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, I didn't look it up. I was using all the like currency converters and then inflation calculators. Because £5,000 back then is more than it is it's worth more now.
Yeah, of course. But I just Googled what would 1 million pesetas be worth in pounds sterling in the late 1980s.
Oh, okay.
And this is what Google told me, but obviously it might be wrong. Feel free to correct if it is. So now we get a great moment that reminded me a lot of when Del and Grandad started singing after they thought they'd gotten the new home in Homesick.
If I was a rich man, Hold on. We're in Spain.
So Del has a realization that they are in Spain and wonders if there's a rule that means non-Spanish tourists cannot claim lottery winnings. I actually wonder why this isn't a rule, because obviously we find out it's not a rule. And because I do the lottery in Hong Kong, but I'm a permanent resident, obviously, in Hong Kong. And I wonder, in like a lot of countries, if people can just buy tickets and get the winnings if they're not native to that country.
Well, yes, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know about the lottery, but I wrote in my notes here that this reminds me of that time in California. Do you remember when we were walking to Universal Studios and that woman like preyed on us as tourists and told us to buy the Coke from her, and it was like £5 a can? Because if you buy the can, you can get a cheaper entry ticket to Universal Studios. And we bought it, do you remember?
Right.
And then when we got to the gate, they were like, what's your zip code? And we were like, oh, we're not locals. And they were like, oh, well, it says quite clearly here, like if we'd read, that we had to provide a local address. Do you remember? So we weren't able to use them. And
I'd forgotten about that, yeah.
And it reminds me of like all these different like touristy scams and stuff that there are. And then it reminded me of what I'm going to bring up in Vegas, I live on tips.
I live on tips.
Yeah, they're basically like...
You have to explain that one to our listeners.
Yeah, we got like harassed by this salesperson in Vegas who pretty much gave us free entry tickets to a whole bunch of clubs. And then after this massive spiel where she kept on interjecting that she lives on tips, at the end, she wanted a tip from us. And we gave her like, was it $20? And she got
$20 to get rid of her. I mean, that was literally what it was.
And then she was like, no, it's a minimum of $100.
Yeah.
And
she was like, it's free. Have all these free things. Yeah. And we were like, so we couldn't get away. I mean, she just kept talking. It was like no breath. It was like, and then this, and then this, and then this, and by the way, I do live on tips, and then this, and then this, and we were like, oh my God, like, just slow the hell down.
Sales tactics that went over our head, but then we gave her all the tickets back, and she was very angry with us. And then we spent the rest of the hotel avoiding that particular part. There's the hotel. The rest of the trip avoiding that part of the strip because we were scared to run into her again. Yeah, it's so crazy. But anyway, that's a big tangent. But the truth is that most competitions and stuff are local only. And yeah, maybe in real life the rule would be that. And again, because we've said that lottery tickets aren't named usually, so this is all just artistic license to get the storyline to work.
I know that if you win the lottery in Hong Kong anyway, you have to pay tax on it. So I think it would be very difficult for a non-local to win it because you couldn't pay the tax on it. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any information about that. So Alan comes in and he's very excited for them. And I think at this point, Rodney has completely dropped any pretense about his age and the way that he behaves around Alan. He's just himself again. Doesn't seem to be caring anymore. And Alan checks the numbers for them and confirms that they have indeed won and they are allowed to claim the winnings. At which point, Del and Rodney continue their dance.
Oh dear.
I love
this. Really reminds me of a dillied and dallied, dallied and dillied.
I do love a good trail off.
Yeah, so good. do. So now we get the announcement that they cannot claim a penny of the money because the ticket is in Rodney's name and he's not old enough to play the lottery.
No, but
He's over 18.
Yeah, I've seen his passport. It states quite clearly he was born in 1974.
No, I can prove it. Because I've got my student card on me. It's got my date of birth on it.
Yes, and it's got an official stamp on it.
Yeah, look, listen, right? Rodney Trotter, born 2nd of November,
1974. Tiny mummy, bruv, isn't it?
So we end the scene and the episode with Rodney chasing Del out of the lobby. So I have a question. Of course, I always have a question. So Rodney has a student card. Presumably this is for his current studies in the Adult Education Centre for his computer diploma, right?
Right.
Would a teenager have that card?
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe, because he could. I guess it depends on what age you can enroll in the Adult Education Centre, but...
That's what I mean. It's like, I don't... Because like, I know that student cards do vary, and obviously older... I think older people can get them, but yeah, that's a bit ambiguous there. And surely they've won the lottery. There must be another way to prove that Rodney's the age that he is. I mean, what about a driver's license, his birth certificate? I mean, I know this stuff's back in the UK, but they would, for this much money, they would fly back and get it and come back. I mean...
I would say that so one of my notes here could help explain this. This ending is not the ending in the script. And I have a feeling that the ending was a bit of a, like, how are we going to end this? Because the idea for the episode is so funny and it's so great.
Yes.
Obviously we think that, even though we've pulled a few plot holes out. The episode premise is amazing. How do you end this? And in the script, the ending is Alan leaves saying he's sorry. And then it just leaves them. And then Del's saying, I won't give up on this. And he wants to tell the truth. And Cassandra makes the point that they'll get into legal trouble if they tell the truth. So they don't actually tell Alan the truth in the script. And this could be why, Michael Fenton Stevens said that the script was always evolving, because one of his major scenes here does evolve. Del says that he is going to amend the lottery ticket to say his name instead of Rodney's, and that's pretty much how the episode ends. I like the new ending a lot better. I love like the energy of it and the fact that they're just like, no, like he is over 18, like they just confess at the end, but then they realize that, you know, Del's doctored all the documents, and then with a little bit of anger and the chase is a little bit better. But you're right, in reality, if that were the case, the holiday's almost already over. They could be honest, but then Cassandra's basically saying in the other script that they'll get in legal trouble is a little bit too ominous. Because again, we don't know what kind of legal trouble do you get in for this.
Yeah, all they can do is say, "Oh, you lied about this competition." Like maybe they could sue them, but it's not actually illegal. I don't think. I mean, do that, right?
I don't know. Probably the claiming of the prize would get them in some kind of trouble where they'd have to pay back or something. Yeah, probably. But I don't know. I mean, who knows? This is probably a bit of an obscure situation for us to know like what would happen in reality.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it's not the same. ending.
No.
No.
Because, presumably after Alan found out, he would have thrown them out of the hotel anyway, so they might as well just go all out to get the money, go back to the UK, get Rodney's birth certificate, and then come back and show. And, even if they got in some legal trouble, at least they can pay the lawyers now with the pesetas.
Yeah, I don't know. It's another one of those good ones that we talked about when we were younger, where when we were younger. We were younger, but when we started the podcast, we talked about how...
we were much younger when we started the podcast.
Yeah. We talked about how a lot of the episodes ended and then it never got explained. Like, what happened after this? Like, how did they get home? Did they get in trouble? And that was better that way, because a lot of comedy doesn't really need you to overanalyze it like we are now. Like, because...
I don't need. I need some more sources.
But yeah, like, audiences in general are not... they don't care about the explanation, because it's all about the laughs and the moment. And the endings of a lot of episodes do just end, and then we never need to find out. So,
well, I mean, you just said this is a very fun and energetic ending to the episode. That's exactly what I wrote as well. So, and like you said, we rarely get our endings explained in Only Fools and Horses. They're always left a bit open, so we're used to it by now.
Yeah.
So any other notes on that scene, dude?
The only other note I had is that actually I got two other things. So I love how Rodney is wearing his groovy gang badge in this scene. The groovy gag. He's still wearing his badge, which is really funny. And then all references to Rodney's birth year in the script of this scene say 1975, but every mention in the episode says 1974. That's just something I noticed. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
And that was it. That's all I had.
Okay, dude. So if that's everything, let's move on to our awards segment.
We've won!
Well, what are you going on about, Rodgers?
We've won!
Okay, so as always, we have 3 awards to announce this week, and we will start with Plonker of the Week.
Are you two going to be plonkers for the rest of your lives?
So, for Plonker of the Week, we will each nominate a Plonker, and then we will discuss and decide who wins. So, dude, who is your nomination for Plonker of the Week?
Oh, it's obvious. Surely it's got to be Del.
Yeah,
There's
I guess
not really anyone else.
I feel like we're just going to give Del the Plonker all the time, although I guess Arnie got it.
Well, he's always a plonker, isn't he? To be fair, we have given... Last week, we gave it to Arnie, so...
Yes, we did. Fair enough. Del is the plonker this week, because he really shouldn't have done what he did to get a free holiday.
Yeah, exactly. I said Del's clearly the plonker because of what he put Cassandra and Rodney through. Also, doctoring Rodney's student card was unnecessary. Who was going to look at that, I wrote.
Well, they did.
Yeah, but only because Rodney took it out and went, no, I can prove it.
So Del is Plonker of the Week.
That's lovely, Alan.
Okay, so this week Heather will award the best line of the episode and I will award best moment. So, dude, what have you chosen as the best line of the episode?
I have a few nominations, as usual. So the first one I nominated is, there's a sort of stigma attached to it. No, that's just a piece of silver foil that you took away. I also nominated, don't get any ketchup down your shirt. And I didn't even know you had gone in for a competition. Well, no! Del, I never went in for this competition. And finally, go on, Rodney. You're going with the Groovy Gang. I ain't going with no sodding Groovy Gang.
Yes, all of those are great. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to go with the last one just because I think that really highlights the episode. I think the Groovy Gang is the thing that most people remember from this episode. So, yeah, I'll go with, go on, Rodney, you're going with the Groovy Gang as the best line of the episode.
Okay, great.
And you've chosen the best moment?
Yes, I've chosen my favourite moment. I mean, honestly, yeah, the moment in the hotel, sorry, not the hotel, the airport arrival lounge when they reveal the plot is probably the best moment of the episode, although I do actually, my favourite scene is the hotel room and all the things that happen in the hotel room. Probably the best moment, I feel, is the moment where Del runs in and grabs the alcohol and the cigar or cigarette.
That's exactly the same as what I put. I put, Rodney, the Arcade is here. That's the best moment.
Just because it's just such a great moment and the audience reacts so well. And I think it's really, really funny the way that they just do the quick switch and then Rodney's just standing there and Del's just puffing as if he had the drink and the cigarette the whole time. So, yes, I do think that's probably the best moment of the episode for me.
Yeah, me too. I completely agree with you.
Okay, well, then if there's nothing else, drink up, we're leaving.
Okay, so that about wraps it up for this week. So join us in 2 weeks' time when we'll be discussing Series 6, Episode 5, Sickness and Wealth. Until then...
Groovy! Here we go!
Au revoir, listeners. If you like what you hear and want to contact us, you can email us at longlivehookeystreetpodcast@gmail.com. All one word, no spaces. Please like the video and subscribe. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, iHeart, Instagram, Facebook, and please use the link in the description for our Buy Me a Coffee. Bonjour.